Good evening, I guess. Good morning from a sunny Five Flags Speedway down here at Pensacola as we welcome you to the running of the Snowball Derby. Qualification all done last night. We'll go over our starting lineup with that. We got our qualifying races along with the Sunoco Challenge that was won by the number 8 car of Richie Murray won that last night. And I'm pulling in here, making a long trek from the West Coast. My good friend Kelly Dahl. And Kelly, thank you for making your trip down here to sunny Florida. We are in store for a great race this afternoon.
Yeah, as you've been telling me before we got started here, they apparently had some very good racing last night in heat races and the qualification races. Unfortunately, I couldn't come out and make it for those, so I am very excited to see what these drivers have in store for us today.
Yeah, we had a couple guys scratch out due to some illness with the flu, and we wish them all the best luck, as we get right here. And that's one thing that you can't control is how you feel, and if you're sick, especially at a 300-lap race like this track, very mentally taxing. We're going to see the groove move around with the new dynamic feature back on the iRacing platform and in the sunshine of the day here this evening. And we take a look at our race information here for the Snowball Derby presented by Hometown Cutlerville Sunoco. 300 laps, Kelly. They have 3 sets of tires in the pits. There will be competition caution if they go a consecutive 125 laps without a yellow flag. The only time that will not come out is if there is less than 30 laps to go. Then they better hope and pray that they put enough fuel in these super late models.
Not only put enough fuel, but save those tires. This is going to be a huge part of this race. I mean, that's pretty much a huge part of any short track race, but it's really going to be about balancing those right side tires, keeping that right front safe on the entry, and leaning on that right rear just as much as you can on exit without burning it off. So as this laps go on and the green flag run goes on, we may see that outside line really come in as the driver may have saved their tires just a little bit more. And as you mentioned, new dynamic track model.
Yeah, and we talked to our pole sitter Hayden Swank last night, and and along with Richie Murray, who picked up the Sunoco Challenge last night, the 100 lap feature event, just for fun. They're bragging rights and a little bit of money on the line with that, but they all talked about how important it was. The setup was a little bit snug, and if someone can save that right front, it might come into play here this evening. And it's going to be interesting to see who can and who can't save those tires. I mean, 300 laps, a lot of strategy. How hard do you push up front? Yeah, it's important to lead laps, but the most important lap is that last one to lead, and who will be the winner of the American Sim Racing Club's Snowball Derby. We are going to find out here. But one thing I do want to mention, Kelly, and we'll touch upon it throughout the broadcast. Over tonight, there was a vote on the best appearing race car, and that sponsor was Race 1 Wraps. Mark Welch, we thank them for stepping up and helping out with that. The $25 award goes to the man on your screen right there, the 71, the Turn 3 Racing Network entry of Brett Hahn. So he picked up that win. He got 6 votes, just out voting Mark Welch by 1, and the beautifully prepared number 57 comes in second. I voted for this man, the 7-Eleven of Eric Kahn. He had a snowman on it, and I thought, with the Snowball Derby, it was all just fitting.
Yeah, we might be a little biased, though, for that 71 car. That does look like a very nice car, though, so congratulations to Brett Hahn, and I'm sure he'll put that money to good use, maybe getting himself some more content for the sim, and if he hasn't already completely got himself all kitted up for all of these races he's got coming up this season.
Yeah, you're familiar with these super late models, and out here on the turn, you've been working with our good friend Muth in the booth when it comes to the Upstate Racing League, and so over these times, I've taken some time off this over the summertime, and with this new build, have you been able to watch or get behind the wheel of these super late models and kind of see what these drivers are going to be feeling out there this afternoon?
Well, I did run the iRacing official Snowball Derby a couple months back at this point, but it was before the build, I believe, so I haven't seen really what's going to happen with this track surface and how things are going to be affected by that, but I'm sure it's going to open up the lines a little bit, and even before that change, we were able to see that second lane just come in a little bit towards the end of the run, and drivers were able to defend some passes up there just by carrying a little bit more speed and getting those runs off the corner.
Yeah, and right now practice is just about to wrap up, and we got Scott Negis in that 55, the Roma Brothers Racing entry, going to be sitting on top of the pylon, and some of these drivers out there, 100 laps of practice, so these drivers really getting out here. Track opened at 11 a.m. this morning, Central, our Eastern time, and they opened it up, and these drivers have been out there running some practice laps, and you can see how dark the racetrack is already getting, and that's just going to continue to get darker, and as that rubber gets laid down, I believe the grip on that bottom lane is going to shift and move around here this afternoon.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of rubber already laid down. The other thing is that track being darker, it's going to absorb much more sunlight and absorb more heat, and that will definitely make that bottom lane probably a little bit slower as we go on throughout the day. So I'd expect the drivers to maybe start shifting up that second lane, heat that up a little bit, and once that gets warm, then we'll see drivers coming back down towards the line.
Well, just like that, the checkered flag on happy hour for our racers coming to a close, and that means only one thing and one thing only. It is time to go through our starting lineup for the Snowball Derby here for the American Sim Racing Club. $125 on the line here this afternoon, and this is what your starting lineup will look like here on the front stretch. Starting on the pole, he set fast time yesterday in car number 35, the driver out of Woodstock, Georgia, the mailman himself. His favorite driver is Josh Berry, and he likes the North Wilkesboro late model stock. That's his favorite real-life track and car. This is Hayden Swank.
And starting on his outside in P number 2, that is going to be the number 2 of Todd Cousins running that Dynomax machine. We'll have to see if that RBR race car can get up toward, keep that car on the high side and get himself into the lead going into lap number 1.
Starting on the inside of row number 2, this is going to be the driver of the Yahoo.com Camry. This is the number 28 of the CNC Esports entry of Alex Coffey.
And on his outside, we are going to have the number 55 of Scott Negus. He'll be driving in that bright red Parkside Pub Smokehouse machine. And that Mustang looking to get himself up past that front row.
Chuck Darling is going to be our 5th starter in the BNC Racing entry out of Saginaw, Michigan. His nickname is, they call him the Flounder, and he is an avid racer in the American Sim Racing Club. He will start 5th with a great qualifying effort yesterday. Car number 88, this is Chuck Darling.
And in that bright green Lumina on the outside, 013 of Zach Coyer. Keep an eye on that car. He has had himself a fairly decent practice, and we'll see if he can keep that car up towards the front end of the field.
The next driver in line on the inside of row number 4 locked himself in with a great qualifying time. We picked up the race 1 wraps. Best appearing race car here at the Snowball Derby. This is the driver of the number 71 of Brett the Jet Hahn.
And on the outside row, the number 93 of Andrew Payne coming out of Fair Oaks, California. Big fan of Kyle Larson, and he'll be representing that quick time machine of Team Conti.
The next driver in line on the inside of row number 5. These last 2 drivers were the ones last locked in by time trials. The driver out of New England in the Breniers Liquor, car number 13. This is Thomas Axel.
And the black South Coast Power Equipment machine to his outside, we have got Richie Murray.
Richie Murray picking up the win last night in the last chance qualifier, so it looks like our 10th qualifier. I don't remember quite who that was, but I believe that was the driver that is feeling under the weather, Kelly, and unable to make it, so that'll move up. The number, like you said, the number 12 of Murray there, the number 8. It's 12 in our scoring, but it'll be Richie Murray starting 10th there. Up next will be the driver who's got a huge fan base out there in YouTube, and we make sure you make some noise for this driver. The driver of the Braxton DeWeese Racing car, number 8, the I-41 Ford, or Interstate 41 Racing Ford. This is Braxton DeWeese.
And lining up in 12th position, that is a nice looking race car, the 38 of David Patton in that retro styled Pinkerton Oil Company machine.
That'll do your first 6 rows as we look at the rest of your starting grid. Starting in 13th position, the driver out of Binghamton, New York in the RogersCards.com entry. This is Tim Rogers. Tim Rogers will roll off 13th here this afternoon.
And rolling off in 14th, the number 86 of Stephen Hoffman. He's a big fan of those UMP modifieds, but tonight he is coming out to race these super late models here on the pavement.
Starting on the inside of row 8, another driver out of Massachusetts. He calls Rehoboth, Mass home. It is Noah Boucher. His favorite racing series is the past super late models. Favorite driver, Jimmy Johnson. And he loves the late models at Seekonk Speedway, which is located in Massachusetts. This is the number 16, the LaPlante Racing Products entry of Noah Boucher.
And lining up in P number 16, that is the 62 RFC machine of Lewis Flowers. Can't quite tell if there is a logo on the front end of that machine. It almost looks like a Cadillac front grille, so keep an eye on that number 62. See if he can roll in style towards the front of the field.
Starting on the inside of row number 8, car number 72. Driver is Jacob Daniels, and Jacob Daniels in car number 72 will roll off 17th.
And starting on the outside row in P18, the 711 car, Al's favorite paint scheme there. And that driver really got the message with the Snowball Derby, that snowman car of Eric Hahn.
Yeah, Eric Hahn in that 711 showed some great speed last night. And a lovely looking paint job done up there. And it's our 10th and final row here this afternoon, car number 022. It'll be the driver from out west. This is Cody Green.
And on his outside, another driver that really got the theme right with the Snowball Derby. That is the Ski Free machine from Mark Welch, representing, looks like, Hammer Racing Engines.
Yeah, Mark Welch with a beautiful looking race car. We got a good shot at that, and that is your 20 car field. Tanner Tallarico is up inside the booth. And let's take a look here, and let's dial up, see if we can talk to Brett Hahn and that number 71 here real quick, and see if we can get a quick word with him as he picked up tonight's Race 1 wraps. Best appearing car goes to the 71 of Brett Hahn. And Brett, this is Kelly and Al up in the Turn 3 booth. You got a copy.
You guys got me out?
Got you, Brett. Yep, we got you. We know this is a long race. You already picked up a little extra cash here this morning with winning the best appearing race car. How is the track feel? We know last night we raced underneath the lights. What can you carry forward into today that's going to make this, the best appearing car maybe be the best car on the racetrack?
Yeah, I'll appreciate it. First, gotta give a shout out to Quick Time Motorsports Media painting up this thing. Awesome colors, especially with the Turn 3 design. I think that thing really pops, and hopefully get some good coverage from the Turn 3 boys, because I tell you what, it's a sharp looking car. Appreciate everyone that voted here before the race for it. It definitely brings a good smile to my face, and can't thank the fans enough. But yeah, I'll go into the race side of things, man. I tell you what, a little bit looser with the sun being out in the middle of the day than at night. At night, I was definitely really tight, especially trying to pass on the top side. So really excited to see this thing for 300 laps, see what the track does, see if the line moves in 3 and 4, because that's where I'm guessing we'll see some different lines being run. And I'm excited to give her all she's got and go out there and, like you said, hopefully be towards the front here, start mid-pack. It's going to be wild.
Definitely will be, and we look forward to seeing you, Brett. Congratulations on picking up that best appearing car. Good, best of luck here as we get ready to roll off here with today's Snowball Derby. What's the strategy? Going to go hard at the beginning, or at 300 laps is a long waste?
Yeah, Al, that's definitely for sure. I think, play it safe, take her easy on the tires, at least break them in nicely. And then from there, see who's burning off that right rear and try and pick them on off as the run goes on. But I think take her easy at the beginning and see what the car will do once she comes to me.
Well, good luck there, Mr. Hahn, and we look forward to seeing what that 71 will do in this race as you roll off in the 7th position. Good luck here this afternoon.
Appreciate it, Al. Good luck to my competitors, and you guys knock it out of the park like you always do in the broadcast. Thanks again to the fans for the best appearing car votes.
There you go. That is the driver of the 71. Calls, Turn 3 home as well. Fellow broadcaster here, Kelly, with us on the Turn 3 Racing Network, and you can also get it done behind the wheel. So we're taking find out what's going to happen here this afternoon. Field getting ready to roll away on there. Hayden Swank is your pole sitter, and he set a blistering lap down, but can one lap lead into more things here this afternoon as the field gets ready to roll down here, get this one underway. What are you looking for? What do you think we're going to see in these first opening laps?
Well, you mentioned we saw a very quick lap from Hayden Swank, but being fast over 1 lap is very different from being fast over 300. So we'll have to see if he can keep that car in shape, if he can keep those right side tires all nice and clean and tidy. And as Brett mentioned, he's got to save that right rear, or else that car is going to start getting loose. And in the heat of this midday sun, can all these drivers keep these cars pointing in the right direction?
And the field starting to pull away here underneath these bright suns. Will you have some cloud cover? Let's take a look here once again at our race information for this afternoon. It is currently 73 degrees. The humidity, though, Kelly, almost up to that 60% mark here this afternoon. That can definitely play in there with a 6-mile-an-hour wind. It is currently cloudy, but as you said, with it being out here in the Panhandle, well, that can change from time and time again. We're going to ready to go racing here at the Five Flags Speedway. We've got a few camera views. We've got our onboard cameras facing forward, brought to you by Hometown Sunoco of Cutlerville. We've got our driver cam with the LaPlante Racing Products camera as well. And then from high above, our Quick Time Motorsports Media blimp cam as the fields makes their way through turns 3 and 4. We're going to get one more lap to go. We built it all up there for nothing, Kelly.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the regular 2 laps to green, but I think we're going to keep an eye on that pace truck. Lights are off, so we are going to go green this time and start off 300 laps of electrifying racing.
Definitely will. We got our friends out there in our YouTube chat. I want to thank Kelly Coffee for keeping an eye on Alex Coffee. Dave, a fellow broadcaster here, we thank you for tuning on in here, Dave, as the field rolls into turns 3 and 4. 20 beautiful super late models ready to do battle for 300 laps. Green flag is out, and we are underway with the Snowball Derby.
Big jump there for Swank. Cousins just trying to get himself slotted down into that bottom lane. Everyone's trying to find the bottom early on here. One car stuck towards that high side, that bright red 55 machine of Scott Negas. He is moving back now, trying to see if he can find that gap right in front of the 88 of Darling.
They're right, they all drop down to the first 4 or 5 cars single file. You got to get back here to see the Integrity Farms number 13 working the outside of the speedway, and he's got the 93 of Andrew Payne out there as well. And I would say right now you probably want to get down to that inside lane. That's where the rubber is. It's not going to really grade off, but now as I say that, the 13 will drop down in front of the other 13. That's Thomas Axum, that purple automobile right there behind him. So Andrew Payne still stuck on the outside already, 4 laps into the books.
Yeah, but he's actually making some moves on that outside. He's now creeping up along the side of the 013 of Zach Coyer, and he's actually getting a nose ahead. So that outside lane is starting to work for that 93 machine, but gotta wonder, is he putting some extra work on those tires to make that move work? But he is now up at least a position there.
Yeah, and I can tell you that looking at the timing on the score, our timing part right now, that 93 has shown the fastest lap times. The last 2 laps, he ran a 26 and then a 23. Now we'll be able to get down right behind Brett Hahn in that 7th position is where the 93 falls into line. So the outside lane had a little bit of speed, but you kind of want to just, I think, ride it out right now. Feel out your race car, see what we're going to get out of it. As now, right now, Alex Coffey makes a bid to the inside underneath the 2 of Cousins down the backstretch.
Yeah, Cousins kind of bobbled the car just a little bit through 3 and 4 last lap. That opened up the door for Coffey. He got a good run off of turn 4, now got to the inside. Now it looks like Cousins just going to concede the position, slot himself back down into that bottom lane just behind. Now looking a little further back, Braxton DeWeese, that was a different, number 8. Now the 71 getting shuffled up and the 55. There's a few cars here trying to make some moves. Once again, that 93 now ducking underneath Brett Hahn.
Yeah, Payne able to make his way up through there. So it looks like now the Sunoco Challenge winner, Richie Murray in that number 8 car. He is gotten by Brett Hahn. So Hahn back to the 8th spot. Our Braxton DeWeese fan club out there in the chat. We love to see you guys. Welcome here to the Five Flag Speedway. Braxton doing a good job sitting in that 11th spot right now, right behind Thomas Axum. And Axum was really fast last night, Kelly, and right now we're seeing him just kind of bide his time in that side of that top 10. It's not about leading the laps right now. Maybe just kind of ride it out, feel your position, stay on that lead lap as everybody's single file is now the I-41 Ford up on the outside. That is the number 8 of Braxton DeWeese working the outside there.
Braxton DeWeese is going to slot back down, looking back towards the front of the field, though. Looks like Alex Coffey, he's going to make the move to the inside to turn 1, gets that quarter panel. That's going to force Hayden Swank to hold that outside lane. We have got a challenge for the race lead. Swank running high off that line, or off the high line, getting a good run down the back straightaway. He is going to be able to secure first place for now, but keep an eye on that 28 of Alex Coffey. He wants to get around that 35. He feels like he's faster.
Yeah, right now the outside was able to hold him off. You saw Swank able to keep the 28 pinch down, kind of break his momentum. And Coffey very quick in the goings last night. In practice, he was third quickest in last night's practice session. He was up there towards the top of the speed chart here this morning. And that Yahoo.com Camry looking really good as he works here right behind them already. 15 laps into the books.
Yeah, it's a nice looking 28 machine. Now gets a good run off the corner, gets right into the bumper of Swank, and that is going to kill his momentum. However, he still gets his nose up into the quarter panel of that 35, but once again, Swank getting a good run off the corner. Now looking to go to the inside through turn 1. He's going to force the 35 up the racetrack. Once again, a good run on the high side for Swank. Swank able to carry that momentum on the top lane, so maybe the 28 of Coffey, he needs to start looking to the outside instead of the inside because he does look like he's faster.
He does. And when you see that momentum there behind him, as a driver, you start to wonder, all right, should I venture up there? But you also see the big conveyor belt that's stuck behind you. You don't want to get stuck out there and lose all that track position early on in this one. I know it's a long race, but right as we say that, Andrew Payne going to dip to the outside, taking a bid on the 88, is now Coffey back to the inside.
Yeah, he's gotten his nose up to the door this time of the 35. They're going to be side by side through the front straightaway, now getting completely even up into turn number 1. He's going to get himself ahead, and he is going to move into the lead as Hayden Swank ducks down, trying to get a run off the corner to maybe duck underneath Coffey, but Coffey carrying way too much speed into turn 3 and 4.
Our first lead change of the afternoon going to go to the Yahoo Camry of Alex Coffey, who takes the lead from Swank, who led the first 20 laps here. So first lead change of the afternoon. Todd Cousins now starting to apply the pressure in that Dynamax entry as he's got the 88 of Chuck Darling, the driver out of Saginaw, Michigan. He is trying to make a move inside the top 5. And Kelly, on Wednesday nights, Chuck in that 88, well, he has not had one of those seasons that you like to write home about. He's had anything that possibly could go wrong has gone wrong, maybe looking for a good turnaround to jumpstart 2024 here this afternoon.
Well, so far it is going well for him. He is in the top 5 now. That 93, though, of Alex Payne looking to the bottom, trying to see if he can get underneath. A lot of these drivers really all bunched up towards the front of the field. However, Alex Coffey starting to pull out a little bit of the lead now that he's got a clear track in front of him.
Doesn't we watch out the backside of the QuickTime Media Motorsports entry as we look back at Negis's number 55. He's got Richie Murray, and I tell you, Murray maybe just hiccuped a little bit last night in his qualifying efforts, but he has shown speed since then. Picked up the win, held off the number 13 of Thomas Axum last night. Picked up that Sunoco Challenge win, is now the 93 of Payne works underneath the 80 of the Darling, but look at the momentum on the outside. There's grip, but there's yellow flag here. Looks like Noah Boucher and a few other drivers have gone around here in the turn number 1.
Yeah, big wreck here in turn number 1. Looks like Braxton DeWeese involved and Noah Boucher, and I think one other driver came in towards the end there. I think Steve Hoffman also got a piece of it.
Yeah, let's take a look back here and see what happened to DeWeese's Interstate Ford. If it wants to work, there it goes. We see Noah Boucher right there behind him in the LaPlante Racing Products entry. Working down here in the turn. Oh, just a little bit of contact there. Stephen Hoffman involved. Eric Hahn able to get through there as well, but everyone else making some contact. Let's take a look and go on board with the 16 of Boucher. He just got in that corner a little bit hot there, Kelly, and around he went.
Yeah, and then the 72 of Jacob Daniels looks like he came in late, just could not get on the binders enough and got himself involved in that. Got added a little bit of damage to all 3 of the cars that were involved in that. Now, Braxton DeWeese came down into pit road, I guess just kind of banging out some repairs. I don't know if he took one of his sets of tires. No, it looks like that neither side of the car did come up, so that number 8 car just coming in, taking the hammer to the side of the car and getting himself back out there.
And Noah Boucher is still sitting on pit road. He had some hard contact to the front of that car when Eric Hahn came through. So Eric Hahn came into the pit, and he is back out on the racetrack as well. So Boucher and Daniels still down on pit road, and caution laps are counting here this afternoon as we are underneath our Tallarico Boardwalk Subs yellow flag. Our first one of the afternoon coming in at lap 26. So a good start to the race, Kelly. What do you think these drivers have learned? I've noticed just from the get-go that the outside line is already there.
Yeah, the outside line does have some potential. We saw the 93 of Andrew Payne. He was really working that outside lane towards the start of this race, got himself a couple positions. He's already moved himself up from starting in 8th all the way up into the top 5, and there's a few drivers that have made some moves as well. Just a little bit further behind him, Richie Murray has moved himself from 10th all the way up to 7th.
Yeah, Murray, one of those drivers I think you got to keep an eye on, and got an extra 150 laps underneath his belt last night. Yeah, it was a little bit different conditions underneath the lights last night, so it doesn't really match up to what we're seeing here this afternoon. But anytime you get in that car and get around the racetrack, laps are laps.
Yeah, you're always learning things each time you come around here and just learning how the track evolves. But now it looks like everyone is stacked up 2 by 2, and we're going to get ready to go back green. Pace truck down and away. Now Alex Coffey in control. He's going to get a good launch there, and that 35 of Hayden Swank going to try to get himself back down to the bottom right into turn 1.
Down in the turn 1, and look at Chuck Darling roll the outside around the number 2 of Todd Cousins for that 3rd position as we are back underway. And look at them, 2 by 2 in the top 2, single filed out, but then it is a hornet's nest back here for 3rd.
Yeah, drivers now trying to check how that high side is working, and those drivers that started on the outside are learning that there is some grip out there. The 88 makes a good run now, nearly getting into the back of Hayden Swank as he's carrying a ton of speed on that high side. Getting into the wall looks like maybe just a little bit there coming down the front straight.
Yeah, might have scraped the body panels on that outside concrete, but he is still holding on to that 3rd position as the field rolling down here as they work up off the corner. And that outside lane still holding serve, but I think the inside lane starting to prevail is the number 2 of Cousins rolling the bottom there, about a half a car length over Chuck Darling. But I'm telling you, the outside lane, and Darling was really up there. I would call it like the 2.5 lane. Oh, whoa. Trouble! Big trouble on the front stretch.
That's going to involve a lot of cars.
Multiple cars involved here on the front stretch as the Tallarico Subs yellow flag will fly once again, as it was the big one out here on the front stretch. A lot of drivers involved with that one.
We even had a car airborne. The 48 machine of Tim Rogers had a car come underneath him, and he got chucked through the air coming across the start-finish line.
He definitely did, and more drivers coming down pit road. Looking at the 55, and he just that right front is towed in on that number 55. Let's take a look back here. It all started up front. As we look at this one, Todd Cousins on the inside of Chuck Darling came up off the corner, and they just got hooked together, Kelly.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who was kind of in the wrong position there, but all we can really say is 2 cars tried to occupy the same space at the same time, and obviously that is not going to work. And just with how bunched up everyone was, a few cars behind them just had no chance, and namely that 55 and of Nijis, and as well as the 8 of Richie Murray. Like, those cars were caught out with completely no chance to avoid it.
Yeah, we're on board right now with the 38, and you just see that, and that's one of those trouble spots right here at the Five Flag Speedway, where there's just nowhere to hide when that happens. You're gonna get into trouble, regardless of how fast you're hard on the gas right there. And well, that just happened all in a heartbeat. Thomas Axum involved in that one as well, one of the favorites headed into the day. And Axum going to have some heavy front end damage.
Yeah, this wreck has really shaken things up. There was a lot of very fast cars involved, so we'll have to see. Few drivers are going to be able to make a few positions off that. But as you mentioned, Thomas Axum was involved in that. He has banged up his front end, but he has kept that car out there. He's still rolling in 4th place, so we'll have to see once we go green really what the effects of that damage are on that race car.
You can see how the front end looks like here on the front stretch as we look at a close-up here from our flag stand booth there. And you got to wonder, these cars can start to run overheat a little bit, how much trouble they're going to be. But Todd Cousins' car has seen better days, Kelly. The right front missing off of the number 2. You can see it there as it sits there. The crew working on it. The number 8 rolling out onto the racetrack as well, of Richie Murray involved.
Looks like we're about to go green, though. Pace car is down and away, and there goes the 28 of Alex Coffey. However, look at the 13 car. He is still rolling that. Thomas Axon not caring about that damage. Now working that outside lane. He's side by side with the 93 of Andrew Payne.
Yeah, Axon going to try to make it into the top 2. He rolls the outside through turns 3 and 4. as we are back to racing here at the Snowball Derby for the American Sim Racing Club. We thank you all for tuning in as they work down here in the turn 1 and Axum into that number 2 spot, Kelly. So that damage may be just cosmetic currently.
Cosmetic, or maybe even helping him, as he's up 2 positions right away, I think within first 2 laps of going green, and he has got that 13 machine rolling. He does not care about that banged up right front, maybe doesn't even know about it, but he is now right on the bumper of Alex Coffey, who is trying his best to pull away from the rest of this field.
Yeah, you can see right there, he's definitely not down on power, as he is right there behind that number 28 of Coffey, as they battle here for the top spot. And Andrew Payne, we talked about how fast that 93 has been. He is right there as well, as the multiple drivers involved. How about Brett Hahn, Jacob Daniels, Chuck Darling, Richie Murray, Noah Boucher, all down laps. Tim Rogers, Nijis, and Cousins all on pit road, as they all try to fix damage from those early 2 wrecks here this afternoon.
Yeah, we have only 12 cars on the lead lap now. I believe we will have wave rounds as we go throughout the day. So a few of these drivers are looking for some cautions to come out. But now still looking at that 93 of Andrew Payne. He's taking a look to the inside of the 13. He's trying to get around Axum now, trying to work that bottom lane. Axum trying to use that high side as he used at the start of this green flag run, but it's not going to work for him. He's going to have to immediately slot down in front of Swank before losing another position.
And Andrew Payne having some limited super late model starts here this season with the American Sim Racing Club. Had a bridesmaid finish to the end out 23 at the Bristol Motor Speedway on the Wednesday night Sunoco Series, and right now finds himself in spot number 2, trying to chase down, I would call him the invader, Alex Coffey, the Yahoo Sports or Yahoo.com entry, as he leads it. Coffey, the only other leader behind besides the 35 of Swank, who is our pole sitter here for the Snowball Derby.
And Swank is now dropped down into 4th place. He's sitting behind Axum, who has really fallen off from these lead 2. Payne, though, really putting the pressure on Alex Coffey. We're going to have to keep an eye on these 2 cars, because it looks like Andrew Payne is going to attempt a move here within these next couple laps. He is really filling up that rear view mirror of the 28 Yahoo machine.
He's got a good drive off of turn number 2. Now that's going to put Coffey into the upper groove. Can Payne get there? Not this time, as they roll off the corner already. 51 laps into this contest, and these drivers a lot on the stakes, and we already seen a couple big ones. I wonder if everybody took a deep breath, and we'll get a long green flag run right now.
Well, here comes 93 taking another look to the inside. Payne trying to get around Coffey, but with these moves he's making, he's coming these really shallow entries. That is going to work that right front tire a little more, so he may be working on a good short run here, but it could cost him long run as they bang doors coming off of turn number 4. Give the position to Alex Coffey for now, but here comes Andrew Payne. He is going to get through turns 1 and 2, but now crossing him up. There goes the 28 of Alex Coffey to the bottom side into turn 3 and 4. He's going to get his nose up to the door of that 93 machine, but that 93 of Payne really rolling off that high side well, and he will lead the lap.
Our third official lead change of the Snowball Derby coming here on lap 54, as Andrew Payne has now taken the race lead from Alex Coffey. Coffey back to second. Thomas Axum running in that 3rd spot, and right behind him a great battle for the 4th position, as Swank has it over the number 13 of Cold Beer Coyer. Coyer and Integrity Farms sponsored number 13, trying to find some daylight to get around the 35 as cloud cover starts to cover the 5 Flag Speedway.
And that will probably cool his track off a little bit and allow these drivers to keep working that bottom lane. The track is up a couple degrees from the start of this race, but these drivers seeming like it's not really affecting them too much. They have been able to keep these cars nice and tidy, and none of them really getting sideways off of these corners, and that's a very easy thing to do in these race cars, because there is a lot of power underneath your right foot.
There is a lot of power, and you got to keep that right rear happy as well as that right front, and it is easy to make them. But how about this driver? We saw him go through the spin cycle. We're talking about the number 8 of Braxton Deweese. He finds himself into the 6th spot on this after this restart. He just got by the 86 of Stephen Hoffman, is Hoffman relegated back to the 7th spot, and Mark Welch, who started back in the 20th position, is now sitting inside the top 10 and running in the 8th spot.
Yeah, he's a few of these drivers towards the back of the field were able to keep themselves out of trouble through his first couple cautions, but now it looks like Welch is going to lose another position as Cody Green goes to the bottom side there, door-to-door off the corner, and that actually a little bit helps Mark Welch as he was able to run a lot more speed coming off that high side. However, now here comes Green once again on that bottom side. Welch just going up way high on the racetrack and kind of giving him the spot.
Yeah, Welch able to fall back there. He's got the 38 of David Payton and that Pinkerton Oil sponsored number 38 working down to the inside of Welch's race 1 wraps entry. In the turns 3 and 4, though, he will roll off the corner. So Welch straight now, maybe just taking care of those tires. As we got a green flag looking run as both Hans are behind them. It's Eric Hahn in the 711. He is on the lead lap in the 11th position. Brett Hahn in the 71. Our first car one lap
Brett's going
down.
around.
And around will go Brett and the 72 also involved. That is Jacob Daniels as they were battling for that free pass spot. So not sure. Well, I am sure that the 72 and the 71 will not be getting the free pass, but I'm not sure if maybe Murray able to stay out of trouble to get that free pass. We'll have to wait and see. But yellow flag flying here for the Tellerico Boardwalk subs. Third yellow flag of the afternoon.
Looking at timing and scoring, it seems like Chuck Darling in that 88 car who was involved really kind of kicked off that big wreck earlier. He is currently scored in that first lap down position, so that 88 machine might be our lucky dog, but that car looking very banged up.
Yeah,
he doesn't even have a rear end on it.
Hey, no rear bumper cap, no spoiler, and it's just like you said, Kelly, he is going to get the free pass. So Chuck Darling going to get back on the lead lap as now Thomas Axum down on pit road in that number 13, trying to get some of that damage fixed, along with David Payton rolling on pit road as well. And a few other drivers with them down here that were involved. Boucher, Nijis also on pit road as the pace truck rolls there. And Andrew Payne, your current race leader, here with 67 laps complete, closing in on the 1/3 mark already here at the Snowball Derby.
Yeah, and those drivers on the pit road have to keep an eye on where the field is. This is not a very big racetrack, so that field can come around quick and put you a lap down. And they're trying to just get as much damage fixed as possible without losing that lap, because it can be very hard to get themselves back on the lead lap. However, it's still a very long race left ahead of us. We're still only on lap 67 of 300.
They are working down here on the front of this one, and let's see if the lights stay on. Let's see if we can dial up our race leader of Andrew Payne. Let's see if we can dial him up real quick, Kelly, and see what his thoughts are so far on the racing. Andrew Payne, Al Smith in the turn 3 booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
Man, your car looking pretty sporty. You can put that thing on the outside or the inside, looking pretty good out there. How's the racetrack? How's the racing been from your point of view?
Racetrack's really good. Like you were saying, you can right now I can move high or low and make passes and hold people off, and except for that one big wreck, the racing's been really solid so far, and clean air is really key, I think. So I want to get up front and lead and save, and we're going good so far, but we're not even a third of the way in, so we'll see how if me pushing hard is gonna hurt me later.
All right, we'll let you go. We're going back green flag racing. Good luck.
Thank you.
Here you go, Andrew Payne, your race leader. Here to focus.
He gets a great start. A driver that did not get a good start. That looked like the 28 of Alex Coffey may have spun the tires up. That's going to allow Swank to get through, and now he's moved himself back into the second place. Andrew Payne, though, trying to open up a big lead that he had earlier right before that caution flag.
And how about Hayden Swank going to pull into that number 2 position, relegating the 28 of Coffee back to 3rd. And Braxton Deweese using the outside. He's in that 4th position as he's battling with the 86 of Hoffman and the 57 of Welch. So these drivers, only a handful of drivers not come down pit road as of yet, Kelly. And we're roughly going to get about 140 to 150 laps on a tank of fuel. So these drivers are going to have to come out as the yellow flag flies once again. And it looks like the 72 of Jacob Daniels has gone around in turn number 2.
Yeah, it looks like a collision between the 72 and the 88 in turn 1 and 2, and that's just going to send the 72 around and give a little bit more damage to that 88 machine of Chuck Darling.
Looks like he might have got the outside wall, and they went in there 3 wide, and just a little bit of a love tap. Kept it out of the retaining wall, so that should be a quick yellow flag. But while we got a second, we're going to step aside. We'll be right back here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. You're watching the Snowball Derby.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
And welcome back here to the Turn 3 Racing Network. Upstate Al, along with our friend from the North Country, Mr. Dahl, bringing you all of tonight's racing action as we close in on the 1/3 mark, Kelly. And already have seen a couple big ones, some drivers that have had some damage and been down pit road. The 13 of Thomas Axon, David Patton, headed back down there as well. And how about the driver, the 71 of Brett Hahn? Is going to be on the tail end, or back on the lead lap. One of the best appearing race car, and that thing has seen some better days, hasn't it, so far this afternoon?
Yeah, unfortunately not as picturesque as it was when we started this race. He's been caught up in a couple of accidents early on. Really was caught up in that big one that we had, the second caution of the day, but he is now back on the lead lap after missing out after getting tagged on the previous caution before this. Came down, got a little bit of damage to it, but still a lot of damage to the front end of that car. However, if you look at it from the back, it still looks perfectly fine.
It sure does. As drivers down on pit road getting some damage fixed. As lights go out around the racetrack, that means we're going to go back green flag racing in a moment's time. But top 3 cars have not come down pit road yet. Our first driver that's been down pit road is Braxton Deweese. He came down on lap 27. I don't believe he took any tires, though. Kelly has a green flag about to come back out.
Now, quickly touching that, Braxton Deweese did not take tires, and that was just for a small amount of damage he had under that first caution. But the 93 of Andrew Payne leading the field down to turn 1. Now look at the 28 of Alex Coffey. He's looking to the inside. He's going to get around Swank coming into turns 3 and 4. And now here comes Braxton. Huge head of steam on that high side.
And he's got the 86 of Hoffman flying to the inside of his racetrack, trying to make some moves there, but Braxton Deweese working the outside. That Ford Mustang wound up on the outside, and right behind him, Welch trying to figure out, all right, which lane do I want to be in, which lane do I need to stay in to make my way continue forward. A little bit deeper in the field, though, Cody Green working here as well, and right behind them, David, looks like a gaggle of cars, a little bit of bumper tag back here. That's the 62 of Lewis Flowers. Runs in that 12th position. He got a little bit of bumper tag and more contact in front of him with Noah Boucher in the 88 of Chuck Darling. They made some contact. Darling, your last car on the lead lap right now, or he's 1 lap down. So these guys are vying for that all-important free pass if the yellow flag were to fly.
Now Eric Hahn, he is stuck on the high side. He's moving backwards now. Just lost a couple positions to Thomas Axum and Zach Coyer. And now here comes Green on that inside line. He's going to get around that 7-Eleven as well. Now Hahn having to drop back down to that bottom lane, just giving up those positions and slotting himself back into a top 10 position.
Moving there as well as the 48 of Tim Rogers back onto the racetrack, but he is some 22 laps down. So these drivers out there just vying, maybe, hoping for some tough love. And hey, you've made the tow down here to Pensacola. You're not going to be able to load the car up and go home while the race is going on. So these drivers never do quit. They're out there racing theirs now. Though we saw Mark Welch up the racetrack. Here comes Coyer underneath him. That's the bid for the 6th position, and it is a good battle into turn number 3.
Yeah, Coyer a little bit of an advantage into turn 3 there, and he is actually going to almost completely clear that 57 machine, and now it's actually going to open up a gap for Thomas Axum. Axum going to move to that bottom lane as well, and it looks like he's also going to get around Welch. Welch trying to work that high side, but just cannot find that speed up there.
Definitely will not, and Axum going to get by as well. So Axum, he did spend some time down on pit road. Kelly got that front end. The team doing a good job knocking the front end back out there for aerodynamics. Maybe getting some of that damage fixed to help the 13 move his way towards the front.
Yeah, 13 though, still looking a little banged up, but that front right looking a lot better than it did earlier. So that is gonna help him out. Welch now losing another position as Green gets around him on the bottom side as well.
Yeah, Cody Green starting to find his legs underneath him. Started back in the 19th position, finds himself in the 8th spot, and that car looking fairly clean, able to miss some of those wrecks early on, as now Eric Hahn starts to put some pressure on the 57 of Welch as well.
There's a bit of a battle up towards the front of the field. Looks like the 86 of Steve Hoffman got stuck on that high side. Zach Coyer, he's looking to the bottom, and he is going to get himself completely side by side with the 86 through turns 1 and 2. But the 86 getting a good run off. Oh, never mind. And he loses that run off the high side as he gets into the wall. Looks like he may have actually banged up the right front of his machine as well.
Yeah, and you can just see how much momentum on the outside is if you can keep that car. There's contact between Coyer and the 86 of Hoffman. Once again, Hoffman's going to hold on to that 5th spot there. And it looks like if you can keep someone pinned down there, Kelly, they don't quite have that good drive up off the corner at this juncture of the race.
Yeah, but looking at the front of the field, Payne and Coffey have taken off. Andrew Payne has about a 0.6 of a second over Coffey, and then Coffey about a 1.5 seconds over the 35 of Swank. So Swank might just be saving tires, or maybe he just doesn't quite have that long run pace, as we are 93 laps into this, and these tires are definitely going to be a little bit scuffed up at this point.
Yeah, right now they are sitting there. Those drivers have been on the same set of tires, have not come down pit road at all, even for a fuel adjustment, to put some fuel into these race cars at all this race as we close in on the 1/3 mark of this 300 lap contest for the Snowball Derby. And Andrew Payne out front pacing the field. And I tell you, Alex Coffey just riding there, maybe learning a little bit, would you say, behind the old veteran of Payne. Try maybe finding a different line, something that's going to work a little bit later on in this race.
And it does look like they're running slightly different lines, at least in 3 and 4 there. Alex Coffey entered a little higher, and he's really entering higher into all of these corners here. We're just kind of diamonding off on the bottom, coming off the exit, and that might be just a way of saving those tires. Is every time he's about half a lane to a full lane up on the entry compared to Andrew Payne.
Yeah, and taking a look at the last time there, they're running pretty comparable lap times. Payne ran a 16:83 to Coffey's 16:88. They are some of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Hoffman also in the 8, so the speed is starting to come down already. 0.6 of a second lost since the start of this race. They were running in the 2s and 3s at the start of this race, and you can see everybody's best time now here as they work around the racetrack. So the fastest lap of the race so far still going to Andrew Payne, and that happened a little bit around lap number 4 or 5 when he was on the outside to Kelly. So the outside has some speed early on, but right now everyone just kind of biding their P's and Q's as we close in on the 1/3 mark.
Yeah, we're hitting lap 100 now, so these drivers, I'm sure if we get another caution, are going to come down and change those tires. I believe they've got 3 sets that they need to last over 300 laps, so these drivers might be trying to split them up into roughly 100 laps per set.
Definitely will be. And Hoffman now starting to close back in on the back side of that Interstate Ford in front of him of Braxton Deweese. And Deweese there doing a good job. Kind of buying his time there. I would say when he was on pit road, Kelly, 8 seconds was the pit time. I don't think that was enough time for tires at all.
No, definitely not.
So he is out there on those fresh tires, but did go through the spin cycle, but doing a good job sitting there in that 4th position. And you can see the leaders right there in front of him.
Yeah, he is sitting right on with Hayden Swank, our pole sitter from earlier on, but they're still about 2.5 to 3 seconds back from Andrew Payne. Andrew Payne now actually opening a 1 second lead over Coffey.
Yeah, Payne able to start to stretch it out here as he enter turns 1 and 2. And Payne's running right down on that white line ever since he took the race lead back on lap 40. And Payne holding on to it so far as we got one car in trouble. We're going to keep it clean and green. Lewis Flowers starting to make some move up towards the top of the field as he's into the 12th spot as Mark Welch back to 13th.
Yeah, and Chuck Darling currently holding on to that lucky dog position. He got a lucky dog earlier on, got that wave round. However, he has now dropped back into another lap down after, I believe, taking maybe a little bit more repairs. Richie Murray, a good decent way behind him, so Darling pretty safe in that position, or that wave round position, just hoping for a yellow flag now.
Yeah, and you can see the right front fender completely peeled off of that number 8 of Murray's automobile as he works there. Brett Hahn runs an 11th spot. You see him working behind the 38 of David Patton. Hahn back on the lead lap, but that car a little off the pace from your leaders, about 0.2 of a second slower last time by.
And now Payne is starting to close up to a little bit of lap traffic. That is the 55 of Negis, who is 17 laps down. However, that 55 car looking pretty much completely clean. Looks like he got all of his damage fixed. However, that did cost him a lot of time and has essentially taken him out of this race. Now the 55 moving up the racetrack, giving the preferred line to the 93. And it looks like Payne pretty much losing no time on that pass, and he is now a full 1.5 seconds over Alex Coffey.
Yeah, and you got to start wondering, when are we going to see these drivers come down for fuel? We do know that there could be a fun flag, as we like to call it, Kelly, with a certain amount of consecutive laps completed. My question is, do they have enough fuel with the yellow flags and stuff to make it to the fun flag?
I do not know. I don't think so, because these drivers have already been running for quite a bit, and our last caution wasn't really all that long ago, so there's still quite a ways before they would be able to get that free caution. So these drivers, I guess, towards the front of the field, just kind of hoping that a caution will come out soon. They can get some fresh tires and get themselves fueled up as well. But with how the lap, or now the car is being lapped, it is going to change up who's under the lucky dog, as now there's 2 lap cars side by side holding up Alex Coffey, and that is going to be huge for that 28 cars. He was trying to keep up with the 93 of Payne. Now he is going to get through as those drivers split for him, but that's going to cost him a lot of time. Now he's 2 seconds back from Payne.
Yeah, now Hayden Swank's going to have to deal with that, as that allowed Swank to close in on the backside of Coffey for a moment there. Is you gotta wonder, Coffey ran hard early on. Did that right front maybe abused right now? That inside line though, getting darker, Kelly, and off of turn number 4, you can see where everybody's kind of hitting that same mark up off the corner, and the car's getting a little bit loose there. You gotta start wondering whether they're gonna start searching around for some extra grip. But you also got to worry about tire marbles being built up. You get on those, it's like being on ice, and that could end your day into the outside retaining wall if you do end up hitting some of those marbles.
Yeah, you can see off of both corners here, both turn 2 and turn 4, there is one very dark streak from where drivers have spun the tires coming off of the turn. And that is going to get a little bit more slippery as this race goes on and as the sun maybe comes back out. However, these guys are getting lucky. It is quite cloudy here. However, with all these cars running over the racetrack, they have warmed up this track quite a bit.
Yeah, right now in a good green flag run, Mark Welch to 57 would be your free pass if the yellow flag were to fly, as we watch the 86 of Hoffman work there. But Thomas Axum starting to put some pressure now in lap traffic to the 13 of Zach Coyer. So the 13's trying to close in on the battle for that 4th position between Hoffman and DeWeese, as that is some 4 seconds behind Andrew Payne, who is, well, he's in his own zip code right now. He's trying to make it back to California, I think, as he works around this Five Flag Speedway.
And he just got around another of our 2 lap cars. That was the 48 of Tim Rogers and the 2 of Todd Cousins. Really unfortunate about Todd Cousins. He was a fast driver early on. He started in second and then got caught up in a big wreck. That car is still very banged up. Pretty much no front end, but he's still out here turning laps, trying to get as many positions as he may possibly get, because there is a cash payout, I believe, for every single position here on the track. So any spot that you could get off of maybe other drivers finding some trouble could give you a couple more bucks in your pocket.
It absolutely could. And how about the team effort on that Dynamax number 2? Came into the pits with the right front completely torn off. They had to replace the upper and lower control arms on the right front of that car. Doing a good job, and he's out there running some competitive lap times for a car that looks like that could be a UMP modified.
Yeah, no front end, very classic short track look, but I'm looking at Andrew Payne. His car's still looking fairly clean, and he is now almost 3 seconds in the lead over Alex Coffey. So he's trying to build up a huge lead over these drivers, but again, we have to wonder, what is the fuel situation on these lead lap cars?
Definitely is, and he's closing in on the back side here of the 62 of Lewis Flowers. And Flowers, the last car currently on the lead lap, as Murray has gotten around Darling. So right now, I think Murray is calling to race control, saying, hey, there's debris around the racetrack. And I tell you, Murray's car, even despite missing that right front fender, he is laying down some competitive laps. I think if he get back on the lead lap, he could still make it inside the top 5.
Yeah, despite missing that right front fender, it does look like the tire is pointed in the right direction, and that is really the major factor here. As long as everything is kind of straight on the front end, you should still be able to get a lot of speed, because it's short track racing. Aerodynamics play a small bit, but they're not that serious.
Yeah, Hayden Swank, though, starting to close in. He has dialed up the Yahoo.com 28 of Coffee, and he is starting to close back in on him. So 35 of Swank, maybe a long run car here as they work around the racetrack. And as I say, that a little bit of electrical issues on the 35. He gets that pointed there as Coffee makes his way around Cousins' number 2 car. Now Swank will have to navigate his way around him in turns 3 and 4. So the battle for second starting to close up, and behind them, Braxton DeWeese still holding off the 86 Hoffman as they work around here at the Five Flag Speedway. And what is everyone kind of settling into this win point, and we're getting closing in on the halfway of the Snowball Derby.
Yeah, and just a short time ago, the gap between Coffey and Swank was about 1.5 seconds. Now it's gone down under 4/10. That 35 car is moving forward. He does have some long run pace, and I think Coffey may have just burned up his stuff a little bit too much early on, but the driver that has been flying and not burning anything up, Andrew Payne, he's still almost 3.5 seconds now over the rest of the field.
Yeah, and he is about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than anybody on the racetrack, as we are on board with the driver out of Woodstock, Georgia, Hayden Swank, as he closes in on Alex Coffey here. But Payne, he is out there running fairly quick with a 17, with the pace really almost down 1 second from the start of this race, Kelly. And these tires got to start screaming at him as the 57 of Welch in the outside retaining wall. He does there, but now Coffey, he's got the back trunk full of the 35 of Hayden Swank.
And looks like he just came over the radio saying that he is going to allow Swank through. He has accepted the fact that Swank is a little bit faster. As he actually got held up a little bit by Welch going into turn 1 last lap around, but he's just going to give that spot up, save his tires as much as possible, not bother fighting, and just see if he can hang on with Swank and maybe try to close up that gap to Payne, which has now increased even more to nearly 4 seconds.
Yeah, right now the number 8 of Braxton DeWeese and Hoffman out there as well. And those drivers still on the same set of tires as they started the race with. I would assume that most everybody, even if they came down pit road, whether they took fuel or not, that's another question. But I would assume that they've saved those sets of tires. I know they only had 3, but maybe, just maybe, those drivers will, be looking at this halfway point, maybe a halfway caution flag. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's as we see the 57 of Mark Welch coming down pit road here on lap 137. So you got to wonder if Welch coming down on pit road is for tires or maybe fuel, as fuel is starting to maybe become an issue.
I'm not seeing either side of that 57 car move up. I think he might just be coming down for some damage repairs. He got into the wall a few times and has been moving backwards, and now he is going to come back out, and yeah, it looks like that right front fender popped out a little bit more, so looks like that was purely for damage. It seems like he thought it was costing him a lot of time, but now he is 5 laps down as Andrew Payne comes around once again.
Yeah, Payne doing a good job. He's just worked by the 72 of Daniels, and Andrew Payne almost 4 seconds up over Swank, and I tell you, Hayden Swank has kind of left Alex Coffey and opened up that gap, and Coffey's starting to fall back into the grasp of the 8 of DeWeese, and Thomas Axum right there as well has caught the back side of the 86 of Hoffman. So Axum starting to make some move up towards the front of the field as well. As we close in, we're 7 laps from the halfway point of this as Hoffman just bows up and allows Axum to get on by. So Thomas Axum into that 5th spot and now looks to chase down the number 8 of Braxton DeWeese.
Quickly touching on the situation with Mark Welch, he did say over the chat that it was a meatball flag that he had, so he did have to come down to fix up that damage, and yeah, it has put him down 5 laps. So unfortunate for that 57 car, just catching the outside wall a little bit too hard off of one of these turns.
That has put him back into the 17th position, like you said, 5 laps down as they work around here. Brett Hahn runs in spot number 9. He's right there with the 7-11 of Eric Hahn, and that's a father-son duo out there, Kelly, and they're battling inside the top 10 for position.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to battle each other too hard, as actually the 7-11 getting a little bit high up the racetrack there, almost looked like, and now he is going to stay high as the 71. Brett kind of looks towards the bottom side, not going to give them the position, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe these two are fighting just a little bit for that 8th spot.
And just noticing on the relative here that Payne, his gap has kind of shrunk a little bit, but he was in some, I believe, in heavy lap traffic working around Tim Rogers and whatnot. Is now Hahn up the racetrack, allows little Hahn down to the inside, and that's a change for position. Brett Hahn into the 8th spot around Eric.
All right, and Swank now asking for the competition yellow. Race control, I believe, is looking into it, so we may get a competition caution here very shortly. So we'll have to keep an eye here on the track and wait for that competition caution, because it is going to change things up. Drivers are going to have to come down and get fuel and tires. Everyone just really wanting to replace those right sides, I think.
Yeah, I think everybody right now is screaming at their crew chiefs on top of the war wagons in the pit lane. Hey, we need some Mr. Feelgoods on these racetracks. As Braxton DeWeese now underneath the 28 of Coffey. So Coffey might have used up his stuff, Kelly. He's way up on the high side of the racetrack, and that car does not seem to be happy as Coffey, an early race leader, now falling back to the 6th position.
Yeah, he got up into the wall on the front straightaway that last lap, and then he got into the marbles through 1 and 2 and had to give up a few spots. So yeah, I think he has torn up those tires that are on that car, and he is also one of those drivers probably waiting for race control to throw that competition caution. I believe it was Hayden Swank was the first one on the radio asking for it, and you can tell he really wants to get back up to Andrew Payne. He seems to be faster at the current moment, but that's still a 3.5-second gap, and over the last, I think, maybe 20 laps, he has closed at half a second. That's still a long ways to go.
It is, and you got to wonder right now the fuel situation in these race cars. They have not been down, at least your top two have not been down pit road at all today, along with Steve Hoffman and the number 28 of Alex Coffey. Some of your front runners have not been down pit road at all, and you got to wonder when that competition yellow flag might fly here as Payne leads it in another 2 tenths. And you got to wonder, is Payne slowing the pace down to save fuel? He's in heavy lap traffic, to be honest with you. He's got the 7-11 of Eric Hahn, our 10th and final driver, on the lead lap right there in front of him. So Hahn trying to battle as hard as he can to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, holding up that 93 is a little bit there now through turns 3 and 4. Most of these other drivers have gotten out of the way. Now the 7-11 is going to go up the racetrack and actually get up into the marbles. He's going to have to hang on to it, keep it away from the wall, as that is also going to allow that 72 Daniels. Daniels getting a little sideways into turn 3. He's able to hang on to it. So these tires are torn up, and there's a ton of marbles on this racetrack that are really affecting the handling of these cars.
Yeah, you saw Hahn there really loose on the outside of the racetrack as well. Now he falls back in line behind the 88 of Charles Darling as Andrew Payne continues to lead, but that gap down to 3 seconds as they work around lap traffic. So Andrew Payne's pace starting to fall, and Hayden Swank about a half a tenth quicker than your race leader here on lap 157.
I don't think we're going to have enough time, though, for Swank to really run down that gap. I think we're going to get this competition caution very soon. I don't remember off the top of my head when that last caution was, and doing the math for how long we'll have until the competition caution, but we're just waiting to see what race control is going to say and when they are going to bring out that caution flag.
I believe
it has been a long run.
I believe the yellow flag was back on lap 72, Kelly, if I am remembering things. So we are closing in on about a 75, almost 80 lap run currently here, as Andrew Payne is still your race leader, just past the halfway point of the Snowball Derby. Hayden Swank, your pole sitter, runs in second. Third spot, Braxton Deweese. And that's a nice third spot run for Deweese, as he was in the spin cycle early on with that Interstate Ford number 8. He finds himself in the third spot. Thomas Axum involved in the big one back on lap, I believe that was lap 40-ish, when the big one happened on the front stretch. The crew doing some work.
Here comes Andrew Payne to the pit road. Green flag stops are happening now because these drivers just do not have the fuel to go. So Andrew Payne, the first driver to head down pit road for some green flag stops, that is going to give up the race lead to Hayden Swank. And I believe with how long the stop's going to be, it is going to put him down a couple laps. So he's really going to have to hope for a caution to not come out, because that will trap him multiple laps down.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you take tires or just fuel, but I guess at the time he's got the right signs up on the racetrack, as Hayden Swank is your race leader. Alex Coffey down on pit road as well, so Hayden Swank leading it. Coffey on pit road. Payne down and away, took in right sides only on that 93. And if you're race control, we have green flag pit stop starting. I think you got to hold off on that competition yellow. If not, you're going to trap and probably make some guys a little unhappy.
Yeah, but you said the last caution came on lap 72, so we haven't even hit the 100 lap mark, and I believe you said it was 120 or 125
I believe
for competition caution?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Yeah, 125, so we still have a long ways to go. I think we are going to get a full rotation now, as Alex Coffey going to come out right behind Andrew Payne, actually very close to Andrew Payne, so Coffey getting a very good... Oh, actually, no, it looks like Coffey may be 2 laps down compared to Payne, so I think Coffey may have taken the full set of 4 tires.
And you're able to see the maneuverability. You can see the difference in speed with the fresh tires out there right now. We'll take a look at your times last time by. So Payne running a 16.2 to the leader 17.3, so he might be able to get there, unlap himself the hard way, as long as everything stays there. Now Thomas Axum works underneath the number 8. That is the battle for second. Axum to the inside of Deweese. That's for second spot on the racetrack, and Deweese now back to third.
Yeah, second place as we run right now. As we mentioned, though, These drivers are coming down pit road as gradually, but at 93, using those tires to his advantage right now. Look at the speed difference between him and the 8 of Braxton Deweese. He goes flying by that car.
Yeah, and Deweese saw him coming and just kind of, I think, laid up on that straightaway. And now Thomas Axum is going to do the same thing in the turn number 3. So Axum seeing the speed difference right now, but those drivers a lap down, and here comes the number 28 of Alex Coffey as well underneath Deweese. Everybody there is now Stephen Hoffman drops out of the top 5 and comes down pit road.
Yeah, a few other drivers coming down pit road as well. Look like 88 of Chuck Darling. He is going to come down now. As look at this gap disappearing between Swank and the 93 of Payne. Payne is going to unlap himself, and he's got the fresh tires now, and he'll have a huge lead once the 35 comes down pit road. But you got to wonder how much of those tires he's burning up now, and how much is Swank going to have an advantage later on.
Yeah, I mean, you're closing in on 100 laps to go. They have 3 sets of tires in the pit area, Kelly, so can you afford to burn them up, get back on the lead lap now, and then if the yellow flag were to fly, can you come in and burn another set, and that leaves you with 1 extra set in the pits?
Yeah, Swank, I think, playing the long run here, hoping for that competition caution, maybe come out before. Oh, no, here he comes. He is coming down pit road. He will be taking tires this time. Oh, I don't know if he got that car slowed up in time. He came in very hot.
Yeah, Swank coming in very, very hot here. As yellow-green flag staying out there. As Brett Hahn and now moves into there. As Thomas Axum becomes the new race leader. That'll be our 4th lead change, or make it 5th lead change of the afternoon. Is Thomas Axum out front now with his Bernard's Liquor. Car number 13. These green flag stops really starting to, move some people out. As Mark Welch, unfortunately, the 57 has pulled behind the wall. He becomes our first retiree of the afternoon here on lap 176, working 177. So a tough break for the driver of the 57, Mark Welch. We thank him for his participation in the Snowball Derby here for the American Sim Racing Club. And these drivers are really starting to move around here. We got Lewis Flowers and Todd Cousins in pit road as well as they work through turns 3 and 4. Axum still able to stay out. Remember, Axum came down on lap 73, Kelly, and had 26 seconds of pit time. So did he take maybe a little bit of fuel as they were fixing that damage? He's able to go a little bit longer.
It's definitely possible that he could have taken some fuel, and that could be huge, because if he can stay out all the way to this competition caution, it may trap a few cars a lap down. However, Andrew Payne has already come down pit road, as we mentioned, taken those tires, and he's worked his way up back onto the lead lap, now in 4th place, 9 seconds, actually now even 8.7 seconds back from Axum, so he is really moving on those fresh tires.
Yeah, and then Payne only taking right side tires, so you got to wonder, next time by those left sides, yeah, they don't get as much of a workout, but that left rear tire helps you drive up off the corner and whatnot as he comes up on the backside of the 35 of Swank, who sits in the 8th spot, 1 lap down. And the yellow flag still not coming out here, Kelly, as we are working here as Payne now underneath the 35 of Swank. He'll make the pass there, almost a little bit of slight contact.
Yeah, but Payne looks like he's really pushing those tires hard while Swank trying to make them last. But at the same time, Swank's got to worry about the track position, because if caution were to come out right now, he probably would be trapped and lapped down. Most of these cars would come down pit road, and that would put him on the lead lap as now Zach Coyer comes down, as well as Lewis Flowers now coming out of the pits. But if a caution would come out right now, Andrew Payne would not have to pit, so that would trap people like Hahn, Swank, Coyer, Coffey all a lap down.
It definitely would, and Axum has a 2.7 second lead over Brett Hahn, who is circulated here into the 2nd spot. 3rd spot is Braxton Deweese, and Deweese still has not yet come down pit road in at number 8. You gotta wonder, maybe did he take a little extra fuel when he came down, when he got spun back on lap 27. So maybe he's able to continue on a little bit longer. But right there at the top of your screen, the 93 of Payne closing in on these drivers quickly in the speed difference. Last time by, look at that, Kelly. Payne 17.2 to the leader 17 4s and 5s right there. And so Andrew Payne really using those tires up, and he is quite faster than these drivers on older tires.
And Axum really got held up by the lap cars going past on that last lap, and now he's saying, I think over the radio, that he's only got 10 laps of fuel left. He's looking for that caution to come out, but I don't think these drivers have realized it's only been just over 110 laps at this point. I believe 116 or so. So it is going to be close. If he can make that fuel last, he might be able to get that competition caution, but it's going to be close for that 13 of Axum.
Yeah, and right now, race control is one of those in a rock and a hard spot, right? You got guys that had to come down pit road and did just do that, come down pit road and do the fuel. His top 3 cars underneath the blanket. Andrew Payne got there in a hurry. He will work underneath the 71 of Hahn. Hahn says, I don't got anything for you. You go ahead and take that, Andrew. And now he'll chase down your race leader of Axum. So Andrew Payne back to the top spot as now Axum falls back to the 3rd spot, trying to stretch it here to the competition yellow.
Yeah, this is quite impressive from Andrew Payne. He definitely had a strategy for dealing with this green flag stop, and that was to run hard to get himself back around the field. And now if a competition caution were to come out, he's going to be sitting pretty in that first leads position and could possibly even come down and take his last set of tires to run these last few laps.
And Alex Coffey has pretty much stayed in tow with the 93. He sits there, the first car 1 lap down in that 6th position here, working lap 193 now. As Coffey works underneath our 2nd place runner of Brett Hahn, as we keep an eye on what and when our race leaders will come down pit road. You got Axum falling back a little bit with his number 13, as Deweese will work underneath the 13 now. That is the battle for the 3rd spot, and Axum will give that spot back to Braxton Deweese. So these drivers trying to make it either to the competition yellow. But Kelly, if you see how fast that 93 is, I think you're hoping for that competition yellow, aren't you?
Well, I'm sure Thomas Axum certainly is. No, he just got a black. It sounds like that right front of Axum may have just gone out, so he has definitely got some problems, that 13 car. He may have worn those tires completely out and may have blown one of them. We'll have to see.
Okay, you see how slow he is there right in front of the 13 of Coyer, and Axum unable to get down to the pit road that time by, so Thomas Axum in trouble.
We're getting very close to that 125 mark. It's got to be within these next few laps. He's just trying to hold on and trying to keep himself on the racetrack for as long as possible, but that car is struggling. Look at everyone going by that 13 car. Now the 16 barely getting past him, as now that 13 of Axum just having all sorts of trouble, has no speed on the track now, and he was previously leading, now 10 seconds back as those tires have given up on him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to at least need to take right sides, and it looks like this time he will bypass as we look at closing in on 100 laps to go for this man. Andrew Payne crosses the stripe, working lap 200. And this one flying by here as we close in on the, well, Kelly, 100 laps to go, and Andrew Payne going to look to put Hayden Swank down a 2nd lap here. So
Swank just came over the radio asking if a meatball could be cleared, so I think there's something wrong with that 35 car, and that is really apparent because he came out, or he pit later than Andrew Payne. He should have fresher tires, but he is very slow, and now the competition caution is going to come out. Axum was able to survive.
Axum able to survive, and that will keep the top 5 on the lead lap. That includes Andrew Payne, Brett Hahn, Braxton Deweese, Axum, and David Payton in that 38 car on the lead lap. And I believe Alex Coffey will be our free pass car once the field kind of gets settled around here. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. 5 cars on the lead lap, Kelly. I believe you're going to come down pit road.
Looks like Payne is coming. He's down below the white line. He is going to come take his last set of tires and run that last set to the end. So that is going to allow a few more cars onto the lead lap. Coffey, Daniels, and Hoffman, if they all stay out, they will get themselves onto the lead lap. Brett Hahn is following Payne in. Braxton DeWeese, and I'm sure Thomas Axum going to be... Thomas Axum stayed out. Surprised he didn't come around this time.
Maybe he wanted to get caught up to the pace car a little bit more before coming down pit road here to try to get for Mr. Feelgoods on that car. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and it looks like that's possibly the case. He was a little bit further back from the field, and now it looks like Payne is going to get all 4 tires changed here. He's now going to be back out onto the racetrack.
Here comes Axum down pit road, Kelly. Along with a slew of all the other cars.
Yeah, Axum probably very excited to get himself a new set of tires, as I think he had blown those right sides out, so we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do now, as he's going to find himself in the top 5 with fresh tires.
Yeah, right now 6 cars on the lead lap here. We'll see how this all shakes out once everybody comes off of pit road. But Andrew Payne will cycle out to be your race leader. Braxton DeWeese rolls off second. Brett Hahn in that 71 is third. Axum down and away. He's going to be in the 4th spot. And he stays out onto the racetrack. Alex Coffey getting that free pass to David Pan. So 7 cars on the lead lap here as they work behind there. And what was a lot of strategy playing out there right there, Kelly.
Yeah, it was difficult for us to keep up. I'm wishing I kind of had a notepad here to figure out where cars were and what strategy they were doing. But Andrew Payne, it certainly worked out for him, as he was one of the first drivers to come down and then just use those tires up to charge his way back around the entire field from a lap down, retook the race lead, and then was able to keep himself in that lead for the competition caution. And now he's been able to take the fresh set of tires. He is in a very good position, and I'm going to risk the commentator's curse. I'm going to say the 93 car is my choice for winning this race at this point. It's really just his race to lose, because he's had a ton of pace, and now with fresh tires, I think he's going to run away with it.
You can never count out Braxton DeWeese as well. He's one of those drivers. And how about Alex Coffey back on the lead lap here as well in that 28. But I'm looking at the man that sits there in spot number 4, Thomas Axum. Kind of been quiet all afternoon. Stretched it out here. Now he's going to have 4 fresh tires on here. These guys are heads up. Does Axum have anything for the 93 of Payne? We're going to find out here, as we are now on the way back side of 100 laps to go. We'll have 92 laps to go in the Snowball Derby at the restart zone. We're back underway.
Yeah, good start there from Andrew Payne, getting himself up in the lead. Braxton DeWeese just looking to get himself onto the bottom side. And now that 13 of Axum working around Brett Hahn, who had a fairly slow start on the restart there. Looking just behind them, Hayden Swank still 2 laps down, but still has some pace.
Yeah, Swank trying to get up there, and he's going to need some help, I believe, by these guys up front. As right now, Payne leads it over DeWeese and Axum up on the wheel right to the back side of that number 8 of DeWeese car. A little bit deeper back here. Good battling all the way back to your top 5. Single file it out, and I tell you, if you're the 28 of Alex Coffey, you're looking for a quick yellow flag here. Getting that wave around. He finds himself behind this gaggle of cars. Kelly.
Yeah, everyone outside of the top 4 is actually stuck behind lap cars. Steve Hoffman is trying to work on the bottom of these lap cars now. So
David Payton's right there as well. He sits there in that 6th spot. So these drivers that took the wave around mirrored back in traffic.
Axum just made a move on Braxton DeWeese, and that 13 car is moving. He is pushing that thing hard to try to catch up and keep up with Andrew Payne, as he just got around Braxton DeWeese there.
Yeah, DeWeese back to that number 3 spot now is now the 13 sets chase on Andrew Payne. Is Andrew Payne, I will say, well, he's been a pain in the field's side all since taking the race lead here this afternoon. He's kind of been the car to beat. But how many guys were saving their stuff, saving the equipment, not abusing their race cars? Will they have anything here for Andrew Payne as Axum runs in spot number 2? Now, do we still able to keep pace with him, Kelly? Not able really to find that far away.
Yeah, and looking at these drivers, Payne and Axum were two drivers that got into this race purely on qualifying time, qualifying both 8th and 9th respectively. So Axum does have fairly similar single lap pace to Andrew Payne, but we'll have to see what these drivers can do over the long run. Payne has shown some very good race pace compared to his qualifying pace.
And the battle right here on your race screen is for the battle for 5th. Payne and Hazes, they're trying to work through lap traffic. That has allowed the 28 of Coffee, and Coffee's car relatively clean here as he works there behind the 86 of Hoffman, who gets the outside retaining wall, opens the inside lane. Is now Coffee starting to make his way up through the field as they've worked through lap traffic, and now sets sight on the 38.
Yeah, Payton was a little bit behind Hoffman on that restart, but he was able to get around Hoffman and now get through this lap traffic. Still a few more cars separating them with the rest of this lead lap field. So they are about 7 seconds off of Andrew Payne at this moment, about 4 back from Brett Hahn, and now the 28 of Coffee. He's going to get to the inside of Patton, make that move really quickly and really clean. Now Patton just kind of slotting in behind the 28 and trying to see if he can follow him along.
And these drivers on the lead lap, they are some 7 seconds back. There is now Thomas Axum taking a 10th last time by out of the race lead from Andrew Payne. You got to wonder, is Payne just riding? His yellow flag will fly. Yellow flag coming out for the number 8 of Richie Murray. Murray was running in that 10th position. And this is what Coffee, Payton, and Hoffman all wanted, along with Coyer, as Murray had gone around to bring out our yellow flag for the 6th time this afternoon. Let's take a look here and see what happened to Richie Murray.
And Murray, the only car involved, looks like. So he just kind of came into turn 1 a little high up. You see here on the replay, he just comes up into the marbles and just loses the back end of that car. Ends up just having to lock it down in front of the field.
They're doing a good job of locking it down, as it is easy to let that car roll and collect some people. As you see Murray's car now rolling down pit lane to the attention of his pit crew. So we'll see if Murray will be able to get back out on the racetrack. But now Andrew Payne will have a new 2nd place runner behind him here with 75 laps to go or less in the Snowball Derby. Payne, Axum, Deweese, your top 3. Brett Hahn runs in 4th. Alex Coffey is 5th. David Payton is 6th. And Stephen Hoffman 7th. Those drivers all coming down pit road, though. Payton and Hoffman on pit road. Zach Coyer got the free pass, and he's going to be mirrored behind all the lap traffic as well, Kelly. And we saw what kind of trouble that gave for Payton, Hoffman, and Coffey during that last green flag stint.
Yeah, it really held them up, but I think they may be trying to run a strategy of putting some fresh tires on at the end of the race and trying to run through the field, but it's going to be difficult with the amount of cars that are going to be stacked up in front of them.
And I believe by the pit time, maybe David Payton and Hoffman taking the remaining tires down on pit road to get a little bit of an advantage over the drivers in front of them. And 20 laps, and that's a big difference. It could be here to give you a little extra grip towards the end of this one, especially if it goes green to the end.
Yeah, but we'll really have to keep an eye on Axum, as he was able to keep pace with Payne there for those last few laps. Can he maybe keep up with that 93 and run with him to the end?
Definitely will there. We take a look at Eric Hahn. Want to send him high. He says, I was talking with Tanner up in race control before the race, Kelly. He said, well, Eric, one of those guys that comes out week in, week out, and we appreciate that. And, well, I know that Brett won the race 1 Raps fan vote, but that orange and blue with a snowman on it won my vote here this afternoon.
Yeah, but the pace truck going to be coming down next time around. Looks like as we try to wave some cars around, as things are looking a little bit scrambled throughout the field here as we try to move all these drivers into the right spot.
Yeah, I think right now we're trying to get the 38 and the 86 into their right position there through lap traffic. And I see Kelly Coffey with a question out there on the chat. Kelly, they were the lap cars were in front of those drivers because they took the wave around the pace truck, so they got stuck behind the cars that were down one lap because of that reason. So that's why they were stuck behind them during that last green flag. But now your top 7 cars all will be nose to tail into the Sunoco restart zone, and we are back underway with the Snowball Derby with just under 75 laps to go.
And watch Braxton DeWeese, he challenged that 13 into turn number 1, but that looks like the 13 was able to roll that high line. Now Axum is able to keep up right onto the back of Payne. We're going to have to keep our eyes glued to this front of this field for these last few laps of this race because these drivers are about to go at it.
Yeah, Thomas Axum is drawn to beat on the backside of the QuickTime Motorsports Media 93 of Andrew Payne. And, well, that pay window, Kelly, starting to get greased up here at the Five Flags Speedway. $125 guaranteed to the winner. That's some big money for some sim racing. And right now, Axum trying to do what he can to get around to 93 as those two start to pull away from Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese might be the smartest man on the racetrack, though, seeing how hard these drivers are going to pull and pass. Maybe try to pull with the Ty Majeski move from the 2023 Snowball Derby, where it was a Pollard and Nasty made contact battling for the race lead, and it fell right into his lap.
Yeah, but Axum still putting a lot of pressure on Payne. They've actually opened up quite a bit of a gap over Braxton DeWeese, as DeWeese has fallen back nearly a second over these lead 2 drivers, as now Axum looking at a couple different lines here, kind of diamonding off the bottom of the corner, getting a good run down the straightaway that got him fairly close to the 93, so he's going to have to keep that move in his back pocket, getting a little loose off of 2 there.
Yeah, we're on board with the 13 of Axum. You can see him just trying to keep it close there. Andrew Payne's car stepping out off the turn number 4. He's able to keep it going in the right direction, though. And those 2 drivers nose to tail, and Axum wearing out the back bumper, trying to find something, get a little bit of air to that right front fender, gets the car to turn, trying to come back underneath them. Here comes Axum trying to make a move on Andrew Payne.
And not only is he wearing out the back bumper, both of these drivers are wearing out their tires, and it's not a short run to this checkered flag here. We're only on lap 235, coming up to 236 here. Still a long ways to go, so if they take their tires out, that may open things up for DeWeese and Coffey, who are sitting just about a little over a second and a second and a half, respectively, behind Andrew Payne and Thomas Axum.
Yeah, and Alex Coffey, one of those cars that was quick early on in this one, finds himself, he's restarted back in the 7th spot, up 3 spots on this restart. He is back into the spot number 4, and he is behind Braxton DeWeese. And as the leaders start to battle a little bit harder, that gap starting to shrink behind all these racers as they start to get going here. The air pressure and heat start to get built in these Hoosier Racing slicks.
Yeah, and Coffey was our 3rd place qualifier last night, so we do know he's got some pace, but is he going to have enough to catch up to Payne and Axum, or is he maybe just saving those tires, hoping for that 93 and 13 to burn what they've got up? Because these guys are really going at it. And look, I'm seeing both drivers occasionally stepping out on the corner exit in both 2 and 4. I've seen that 13 get sideways a few times, but he's able to still hold on to it.
Yeah, right now his Cousins rolls down the number 2 on the pit road. Here you see the 13 of Axum trying to make a move, looks to the outside, crosses back over right to the back bumper once again off turn number 4. Can't do anything with him as Andrew Payne is your race leader, trying to make something happen. Braxton DeWeese holding on to 3rd spot, but the battle for that is a 3-car battle. It's now the 86 of Hoffman takes a look underneath Coffey. Coffey starting to get a little bit impatient, knowing that he has to. Takes a dive to the inside of DeWeese.
Yeah, Coffee now side by side, completely even up with Deweese as he's going to try to take away that third place and chase after our 2 leaders. But Deweese not wanting to give that up just yet. He still thinks he's got something for these 2 guys up front. He wants to be in the position to chase after them, but that is not quite going to work on that high side. Looks like the bottom line is starting to work out for Coffee.
Yeah, Coffee works underneath Deweese and able to put a half a car there, some 1.6 seconds behind the race leaders. Coming to here is now Axum really applying the pressure to the 93.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before Axum makes his move. He has been all over that bumper, and he's had a few runs a couple times here. I think he's just been trying a few different lines, seeing where he can maybe set up a pass on that 93 of Payne, and we'll have to see, is he going to try to dime the corner, get to the inside, or is he going to maybe roll that top lane? Because we've seen that top lane work a few times, but now there's a bit more rubber up there. It is going to give a bit of grip, but it is also going to get a little hotter, because now actually we see the 93 taking a bit of a wider line into turn 1.
Yeah, Payne taking a look to the outside now. Here comes the 13 of Axum right there as well. These drivers trying to find some speed to try to gap themselves. That time a better lap for Andrew Payne. Payne working the inside lane now is now maybe Thomas Axum. Gonna let these tires cool down a little bit, trying to close back in as they work here. Alex Coffey be able to get there as Deweese relegated back to the 5th spot now, as Stephen Hoffman able to roll by as well as they work here off of turn number 2. Brett Hahn runs in the 7th spot. Zach Coyer is 8th. Top 8 cars on the lead lap here as they work here. As we look at the 38 of David Payton now. Payton underneath the number 8 of Deweese. This is the battle for the 5th spot.
Yeah, Payton looking to get himself up into a top 5 here as he gets underneath Deweese, and Deweese has been trying to hold that high line. It has not quite been working for him as he gets right up along the wall in the front straightaway, but now just a nose ahead for Payton going through 3 and 4. Now Deweese getting a fairly decent exit off of 2, but he's going to tag the wall coming into turn 3, and that's going to cost him this position.
Yeah, you take a look right there at the stint length here on the set of tires that they have been on pit road here for the pit strategy. And right now, Hoffman, Payton, 27 laps fresher tires, 20 laps fresher tires than Deweese. So, gotta wonder, Kelly, those 20 lap fresher tires, is that gonna mean anything? Is Thomas Axum still right there with Andrew Payne, but Payne a little bit of breathing space as they work into turns 3 and 4. Andrew Payne rolling that bottom pretty good right now. Axum 0.3 of a second back.
Yeah, but we can't forget about the drivers in 3rd and 4th, Alex Coffey and Stephen Hoffman. Coffey has taken about a 10th or a little bit more out of the lead that Andrew Payne has had. So if these guys can keep it rolling over these next less than 50 laps now at this point, they might be able to close up and get themselves involved in this battle for the race lead, because I think they've got some fresher tires as Payne and Axum really went at it early on in this green flag run.
They did, and I wonder if Axum's car is starting to pay the dividends on that as he's starting to lose touch to the 93 of Andrew Payne, and these drivers maybe just riding around here with under 50 laps to go now. Is Andrew Payne shows the way over about a half second and about a second back to Alex Coffey. Coffey and Hoffman not really battling each other, but running some competitive lap times, and they have been quicker than our leaders the last few laps here in this stint to the end of the race here. And Coffey now steps out of the line a little bit right there.
Oh, looks like we had a car that maybe had some trouble there. The 62 machine now coming back onto the race surface. He's going to try to keep himself out of the way of these drivers, but we're looking at Alex Coffey and his rating or his lap times. He is really closing up to the leaders as every lap at a little bit of distance, a little bit of time comes off.
Yeah, you can see right there the gap starting into opening up here on your screen to 0.4 of a second last time by. The gap stays the same. As you see Andrew Payne showing the way over Thomas Axum. Axum actually starting to close back in on the 93, this time off the corner. It's kind of a yo-yo back and forth here as we take and try to find a way to the end here. The Snowball Derby 41, make it 40 laps to go at the stripe as Axe Coffee navigates underneath the 62 of Flowers.
We'll have to see if this is going to cost Coffee any time as he comes. Oh, the car gets turned around. It looks like Hoffman hard into the wall. That is going to bring the caution out. He got turned by that lap car, and he goes hard into the outside wall in turn 1, and that is going to cost Kaufman.
We'll take a look here and see what happened to Stephen Hoffman down here working underneath the 62 of Flowers. Flowers in that outside lane. And there's kind of a squeeze play there, and it sends our 4th place running of Hoffman into there. We're going to take and come back to live pictures, but we're going to take a break as Thomas Axum comes down pit road. We'll be right back here to the Snowball Derby for the American Sim Racing Club. You're watching it right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Welcome back here to the Snowball Derby, presented by Sunoco of Coulterville, LaPlante Racing Products, and Quick Time Media Motorsports. And, well, some drama, Kelly, happening, unfolding while we are underneath our commercial play. Thomas Axon came down and took right side tires with 35 laps to go.
Yeah, and he looks like he's going to line up in that 4th position, so we'll have to keep an eye on that 13. He might have some speed now. That pit call might be the winning move. You were mentioning that while we were under break there, but we're also going to have to keep an eye on Coffee. He had some pace, and he was closing up on Payne before that caution flag came out, so things are shaping up to be very interesting, as at the moment we're at 35 laps to go, and I think we're going to be at 34 as we go green next time, or this time by.
It definitely will be here, and you know, you got Braxton Dewey, Zach Coyer, Brett Hahn, and Murray all came down pit road as well. So some fast cars with some fresh tires. Andrew Payne's going to step on that loud pedal as we are back underway down here in the turns 1 and 2, and it is going to be Alex Coffey working the outside of David Payne, and here comes the 13 of Axum. Axum is going to have to dispose of these cars as fast as he can to try to get up there to get to Andrew Payne, who's already opened up a half-second lead.
Yeah, keep an eye on that 13. He's got speed. He got held up a little bit on that start, but look at him go. This is going to work out for him. Axum having a ton of pace. Now he's going to get pretty much up to the outside of Andrew Payne, so great call from Thomas Axum. This is going to work out for him. Here he goes on the outside for the race lead.
And Axum, a power move on the outside. New race leader, Thomas Axum, using those fresh right sides to get around Payne. And here comes Braxton DeWeese. Fastest lap of the race just happening by Thomas Axum, a 16.15. Braxton DeWeese, though, up to the 3rd spot. He's looking to dispose of the 93 and set chase to Thomas Axum. 30 laps to go, Kelly, here for the Snowball Derby, and Thomas Axum looks to be in control.
Thomas Axum saving those tires is going to work out for him, and now Braxton DeWeese gets around Andrew Payne. Payne, who had a good strategy through the middle of the race, but It used up those tires, and now he's got nothing for the end, as he's also going to lose a spot to Zach Coyer. So unfortunate for Andrew Payne. He had a fantastic race, seemed to be in control for a lot of this, but now he's moving backwards as these cars and drivers that saved tires are now really taking control.
Yeah, they're working around here right now, and DeWeese into that second spot as he is almost 1 second behind Thomas Axon, but DeWeese's car looking fairly clean. We know we went through the spin cycle early on in this one around lap 27, and now finds himself in the spot number 2, and he is starting to chip away towards Thomas Axon as they enter turns 1 and 2. Can he get there?
And Axon was another car that was involved in an accident very early on in this race. He had some pretty heavy right front damage, was able to get that all banged out. It still looks a little smashed up on that right front, but it is not mattering at this point, as he is really hanging on to this race as we are coming up to just 25 laps to go as they reach the stripe this time by.
And how about the man running in spot number 3, Mr. Zach Coyer? They call him Cold Beer. He finds himself in third. He was down laps early on in this one. Never die attitude out of that Integrity Farms number 13, and he is closing in on the back side of Braxton DeWeese as Thomas Axon trying to set off with 24 laps to go, trying to become $125 richer.
Yeah, these drivers have moved up quite a bit to be able to get themselves in this position. Axon started 9th, DeWeese started 11th, and some of the drivers we saw start in the top 3 are falling back. A few of them were a couple laps down, one of them many laps down after getting involved in a heavy wreck early on. So these are drivers that just didn't have that very quick short run pace, but have been smart here in this race, been able to work the strategy over 300 laps, and now we're going to see if it's going to pay off, as that 13 of Axon getting around a lap car of Stephen Hoffman, who unfortunately caught up in that last accident, and that killed his chances of going for the win.
Yeah, tough break, and Hoffman was a very quick car. Is now DeWeese trying to keep the 13 of Coyer behind him, and that's the battle for second spot, and they are starting to close in ever so slightly on the backside of Axum. And we saw Axum's car kind of lose pace after about 5 to 10 laps of racing. You got to wonder right now, is Axum just trying to get away where he can maintain that gap? That gap now shrinking down below 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, but what he wants to see behind him is Coyer and DeWeese start battling, and Coyer is getting a little bit loose off of turn 4 there. He's still trying to hang on, and that time Axum was a little bit faster than those 2 cars behind him.
Yeah, we're looking at the back side of Braxton DeWeese's Interstate Ford entry here. The driver out of Ohio runs in second spot, and as he's trying to hold off, you can see the 13 of Axum right there in front of him, and a long ways to keep going. An hour 32 that these drivers have been racing here at the Five Flag Speedway, and it all comes down to this as they work down here with just 17 laps to go. Axum will work underneath the 55 and needs just to put him down one more lap. That race lead starting to shrink, Kelly, 0.6 of a second off of turn number 4.
Yeah, Braxton is closing up just a little bit here. We're going to see this time around, yeah, he closes it a little bit more, but he needs to start making bigger moves now as the laps are ticking away. 16 to go now, coming up to 15. And with over half a second of a gap, that 8 car has to get on the pedal, has to get moving and get that gap closed up even more. As that time it actually opened a little bit, Axum going a little bit faster.
Yeah, Axum able to pull it, hit the loud pedal now a little bit harder, opens it up to an 0.8 of a second lead, but heavy lap traffic dead in front of him, and those drivers are battling. I believe that is the number 8 of Murray, who sits in the 8th spot. He wants to stay on the lead lap just in case the yellow flag were to come out here at the later stages of the races. And, you know, got to start wondering if this doesn't go green to the end, how many of these drivers, Coffee, Payne, and how many tires do they have left on pit road? It'd be interesting to see. We saw Axum how much the tires were important as he comes up on the backside of Chuck Darling.
A little bit loose is Zach Coyer coming off at turn number 4 there. He's still behind Braxton DeWeese, but that gap has opened up immensely now. Almost a second as Axum is starting to run away with it. Just 11 laps to go. We are just counting them down here, keeping an eye on that 13 car. Is once again a fantastic strategy call, and that has put him in control of this race. Now a second gap. It is a full second from Axum to Deweese, but there it goes right there. Caution flag is out.
Yellow.
Looks like we have got Hayden Swank sideways in turn 4.
Yeah, Hayden Swank gone around in turn number 4 will bring us underneath our 8th yellow flag of the Snowball Derby. Presented by the yellow flag is our Tallarico Boardwalk subs. And Kelly, this changes everything. We gotta wonder, does anybody inside that top 8 have tires left on pit road that are going to come down? We saw how much they meant to Thomas Axum. Does anyone else have tires that are going to come down pit road?
I'm not seeing anyone coming down. Peyton, Murray, they have passed pit entry, so looks like we are just going to be heads up here at the end of this race, as we're under 10 to go, like you said, and it's going to be even less. So even if they did have tires, it's a risk. But I mean, if you're far enough back, if you're in that 6th, 7th, 8th spot and you've got tires, what have you got to lose? You should just take them, see what you can get. You can't really lose that many spots, so they could charge towards the front. We saw Axum. He was able to get to the front on those fresh right sides in just a couple laps.
Yeah, we're going to see this time by pit road looks to be open and no one coming down, so maybe it's no tires left. Tim Rogers will come down pit road along with Hayden Swank, who was involved in that last yellow flag. But so, like you said, Kelly, heads up. Was Braxton saving some tires there? We'll have to find out. Here, let's why don't we dial up the young driver, the Braxton Deweese here, and see what he's thinking coming here. Braxton, this is Al Smith in the turn 3 booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Braxton coming down to the nitty-gritty of this one. We saw Axum use the outside to get to the race lead, and you were able to keep pace there. You have anything for that 13 car?
It's all about the restart, I feel like. If I get a good restart here, then stay with them. And then maybe we can try to make a move to the inside or something, or just try to make a move. But it's all about this restart here and making sure I don't have Zach on the inside of me or the outside of me, or just messing with me, so I can just worry about Thomas and seeing if I can get the lead and get the win.
All right, we'll let you get back to concentration here. We're going to get the win to go here. Good luck here in this final restart.
I appreciate it.
There you go. Braxton Deweese sitting there in the number 2 spot and looking to hopefully maybe put a challenge here to the 13. Kelly, you heard him. It's all about this restart. You got to be money on this. Thomas Axum is the control car, so he's, I would say, had the distinct advantage headed into this final restart. It'll be 5 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, we're going to have to see now who is going to get that better start. Pace car now going to duck down out of the way. It's all in control of Thomas Axum. He gets the green flag, gets a good launch, and now look at Zach Coyer as well. He's trying to get to that bottom side of the 8. The 8 of Deweese going to close him off on that bottom side of the racetrack as they go down out of turn number 2. Looking at it as well, Brett Hahn on the outside of Andrew Payne trying to hang on to that 4th spot.
Yeah, Payne trying to work there. We got trouble behind him, and this not going to be the final yellow flag. There's big trouble back there for the 7-11 of Eric Hahn. Todd Cousins and Hayden Swank all involved down there in turns 3 and 4, and this might send us into extra innings, overtime. Who would have thought? Let's take a look and see what happened here.
Yeah, 7-11 looked like he came in a little hot, and we'll see here now. He comes into turn 3, gets into the back of the 2 car, both of them going around, collecting the 0.22. The 35 of Swank, actually, he was able to hang on to that car, slam on the brakes, and keep himself out of that trouble.
Yeah, definitely wasn't able to move on there as we keep an eye on the front of the field. No one coming down pit roads. I think, like you said, Kelly, everybody has what they have. Heads up racing here to end the Snowball Derby and what has been a fantastic race so far. Thomas Axum leads it. Braxton Deweese is 2nd. Zach Coyer 3rd. 4th, Brett Hahn, and rounding out the top 5, Andrew Payne. in that number 93.
And it's official. We are going to be taking our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish as the drivers are on lap 299 now. I believe we have 3 green-white checkers scheduled, so let's see if these drivers can get it done clean in this first attempt.
So Grandma should take her teeth out, put them in her pocketbook. Is that what you're saying?
Whatever that means, sure.
That means things could get a little bit rowdy here on these final restarts coming up for the Snowball Derby. Money on the line. Thomas Axum, your control car. Braxton Deweese in second. Zach Coyer, third. Brett Hahn, he saw his car early on in this one. He picked up the Race 1 Wraps Best Appearing a Car Award at the start of the night. The front end has seen better days, but that car is still looking fairly sharp out there. Andrew Payne at 93 runs in spot number 5. Alex Coffey is in 6th, and a little surprised with that, Kelly. Maybe those tires not liking the heat cycles. Maybe the heat cycles might even out these tires for Thomas Axum with the rest of the field.
We'll see, but it looked like Axum still had the pace on that last run, and he is going to have the advantage on this restart. So there's only going to be a couple laps for Deweese to maybe get a run, or maybe even Zach Coyer, because Coyer seemed like he had a fairly good restart last time, but lights are out on that pace truck, and we're going to see if we are going to decide a winner here.
They will come down in the turns 3 and 4. The field lined up double file and into the Sunoco restart zone. And Axum jumps on the gas pedal first. A much better start by Deweese as they get sideways behind them. That was the number 8. But here comes Coyer. Coyer down to the inside of Deweese down the backstretch with just 2 laps to go. This time off of turn number 4. White flag is up. Final trip for Thomas Axum.
Axum wanted to see those guys battle behind him, and he is seeing that no one is going to be able to touch him. Axum with a huge gap as Coyer and Deweese continue to go side by side behind him. Last time around turns 3 and 4, Thomas Axum in a league of his own. He is going to win the Snowball Derby.
Braxton Deweese will hold on for second. Coyer third. Payne and Coffey rounding out your top 5. Murray rallies for 6th. 7th, Hahn, Payton, Daniels, and Boucher rounding out your top 10. But Thomas Axum gonna pick up the Snowball Derby win and gonna cash the big check here this afternoon as he will burn it down and use that strategy. Did not see that one coming, Kelly. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah, fantastic strategy call from Thomas Axum. Worked out perfectly for him, and he just made things work out and took over this race and really dominated the last 100 laps or so.
He definitely did as he burns it down here on the front stretch in front of a packed house here at the Five Flag Speedway. I'll get it out here eventually, Kelly. As he will pull it down here on the front stretch. How about Braxton Deweese and Zach Coyer, also your podium finishers here this afternoon? And we will take a quick break real quick, and we'll get our post-race show presented by Sunoco right here on the Trento Racing Network. We'll be right back for the post-race show.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back here to the Five Flag Speedway, where the American Sim Racing Club's Snowball Derby just concluded, and right now We are working down here on the front stretch, and we are going to catch up with a driver that comes home in spot number 3, and just by a hair. It is none other than Zach Coyer, who's just got the helmet off, and very sweaty, very hot weather down here, and the racing was even hotter. Zach, and you rallied for a third place finish in what was an amazing race here for the Snowball Derby. How'd you get it up here on the podium? Talk about your race.
Man, just after running the Dasher Cash last night, I realized tires were going to be a big factor today. So the first 150, I tried to hold on as long as I could and got it right front flat and had to come down, went down 2 laps, but just kept my head in it and tried to keep it clean and brought her home on the podium. I'm super excited about that. Definitely need a beer after this one.
As we were mentioning that your nickname out there is Cold Beer Coyer, and you're definitely going to need that one. 300 laps, grueling conditions out there, and to end it in a green-white checkered in a side-by-side fashion with Braxton DeWeese. Talk about those last couple laps where you guys were side-by-side there coming to the checkered flag.
Well, I knew Thomas was on fresh ones just like me and Braxton were. We made the right move and saved our last set, so I knew it was going to come down to us 3. But that last restart, I just tried to stay on Thomas's bunt, and keep Braxton up as high as I could. And I sent it in a little too hard in 1, and I think it cost me a little bit there. But we definitely kept it side-by-side in a lot of clean racing. That's what you can expect with this group is you can always give it good side-by-side racing, so you never have to worry about that, and I'm thankful for that. And we brought it home in one piece.
Going to bring it home in spot number 3. A good little payday for you here for the Snowball Derby. But, man, congratulations. We know we see you each and every Wednesday night. And I believe this is the first time in 2024 that we've been able to talk to you here for, a podium run. So congratulations on that. Who makes it all possible for this 13 to be here talking to us on the podium on the Turn 3 Racing Network?
Well, first off, I want to thank you guys up in the booth and Tanner for putting on this amazing week in and week out. It just never ceases to amaze me that the way he handles this, the way he runs it, it's perfect. The way to thank Grange, Sunoco, Matt Vade designs for this awesome scheme I have on here, Cold Beer cameras, and just my old lady for letting me run this. And man, that was a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations, Zach. Enjoy this one. Hopefully you make it through the room of doom and just ever so slightly missing that number 2 spot on the podium. But, man, third place, a good rebound after how this race started for you.
Yeah, thank you again. Like I said, it's always good to hear your voice, and hopefully I can get it together in the touring series and see you more often. But that's also a tough group of guys.
Definitely is, Zach. Congratulations. We look forward to talking to you hopefully a little bit more in the coming weeks. Congratulations on this third place finish in this prestigious event.
Thank you again. I'm going to go grab me a beer now. Whew.
There you go. Cold Beer Coyer coming home in spot number 3 here tonight, Kelly. And I believe you're standing with our man that finished in second spot here this afternoon.
Yeah, catching up now with Braxton DeWeese. Braxton, it all came down to a green-white checkered right at the end. How would you run us through that last restart?
I was really just worried about when Thomas was going to go there and try to get the best jump I could. Zach got a pretty good jump there on the last restart. On the second to last restart, I kind of got him there and cleared him off too and was happy about that. And honestly, just wished it stayed green. I didn't really feel like I had anything for Thomas. Thomas was honestly really fast, one of the fastest all night, if not the fastest. So, that's why he came out on top. But, I'm glad that we could end up holding him off on the outside there. I was trying to just pinch him enough to where he had enough room, but to where I could try to get the better run off, and it worked out on them last 2 corners there, and we ended up coming out with second, so I'm happy with that.
And I think the big story of this race is really going to be that long green flag run throughout the middle of this race. So kind of what happened with you there? How bad were those tires before you came down pit road?
Yeah, I believe my right fronts were on 34 and the right rears were on 60. The lefts were a little bit better, but the rights are what matter the most. So, they were worn down a lot. Thomas was at 0, I believe, but it just tells you that long of a run just degrades the tires and it just makes the lap time so different. So, I saw everybody was pitting, and Andrew was like one of the first ones to pit that I saw, and that's when I really started to pay attention to my fuel even more, and After that, I kind of just wanted to, save as much as I could. I wasn't going full throttle. I was kind of going around 75 to 80 on the front stretches and the back stretch, and it ended up working out. I had a couple laps to spare with that competition caution. If we didn't have that competition caution, then it would have been a total different ball game. But with that being in effect, I kind of planned it on that and tried to save enough fuel, and we did. And that actually helped me. I honestly, I was telling the guys in the waiting room, I really didn't think if I pitted there, I did not think that I was going to come back on the lead lap, or I was going to be around a lap down and be having to fight back with that and need a couple cautions. So I was happy with making a call and staying out, because ultimately I feel like coming out third was better than, kind of be around fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, kind of on that bubble of if I'm a lap down or not. So I'm happy that played out, and like I said, happy we were second, and just happy to be here and have a good run.
And strategy was such a huge part of this race. Did you have a strategy coming into this race that you were wanting to stick to, or did it kind of evolve over the course of this race?
Going into it, I kind of just wanted to find a rhythm, find a pace that was good, but also good on the tires, and try to keep up the best I could. But I felt like I was getting a little tight on the long end. I felt like I could have saved a little more. There's probably could have been a couple more things I could have done in testing and whatnot, just to figure out that, that a couple more tenths or whatnot, or thousandths of seconds. It just comes down to that. But just happy that we could do that. And the strategy there at the end, I kind of just wanted to have a set of tires at the end. Around 40 laps to go, I felt like if that was the mark and there was a caution, then it was probably the best time to come down. And if you had that set, come down and run them to the end. I felt like if there was more cautions like there wasn't really enough time for other guys, if they had a set, to gain that advantage with just the amount of laps there was. So I'm happy that I could save the tire there at the end, the set of tires, and like I said, come home second.
Well, before we let you go, we're going to give you the floor here. Who would you like to thank for this second place run you had here today?
Yeah, huge thanks to the main sponsor on the car, Interstate Forward. They came on board in 2023, and we're looking to do some more in 2024, and more in the future with them. So give them a shout at Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, and I believe Instagram. They're on all that, so you can go check them out. They're over here in the Dayton area and whatnot. So big shout out to Interstate Forward, as well as the others of Bennett's Pupical, James on Main, Alan's Arts Images, Booth 34 Diecast, which is a new one. I'm looking forward to a league later tonight with them as the main sponsor. So hopefully we can carry the momentum and start off good with that league. And I also want to thank Unrivaled Photography, Blaze Designs, and everybody that tunes in and supports me. We went on a little break, but we're looking to come back stronger and have a great 2024 and have some good runs.
All right, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, Braxton. Congratulations once again on your second place finish, and good luck to you tonight in your other league race.
I appreciate it. Thanks, y'all. You have a good one.
All right, that was Braxton DeWeese, driver of the number 8, our second place finisher. And now I'm going to send it back to Al Smith, who I believe may have been caught up with our race winner if he's been able to make his way down here.
I have, and I'm down in Sunoco Victory Lane with the winner of the Snowball Derby. And then it come with a little bit of drama. It was Thomas Axum, and Thomas, we saw that long green flag run. We saw the car, I assume maybe the right front was starting to lose some air pressure. You got real slow there, and then you're able to rally and talk us through the back half of this race and that long green flag run. A lot of green flag racing, a lot of hard racing out there. How'd you get it done?
Yeah, I did 200 laps on the same set of tires with a flat right front at the end, but before we even get to that green flag run, I did the first 100 laps of just saving. And if I didn't do that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now. But I did a hard save for the first 50, 75 laps, and then I started going. And during that green flag run, I see people start blowing tires, and I knew I had a little bit of better right front than everyone else, but I knew it would still be a factor. And I kept just thinking about lap 201, because I needed tires so bad. And the people were pitting under green, coming back out, getting their laps back, going to the lead, and had me nervous there, but I stuck it out, pushed through that long green flag run, just turning laps, focusing on that right front, and finally when she went down, I was like 2 seconds a lap slower, and Andrew Payne, the car to beat tonight, took the lead, and he was 2 seconds behind me, and if we didn't have a competition caution, it would have been a different result, but everything worked out, and sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good.
then when that competition yellow came out, that was really a saving grace there, and we knew going into it that there was a possibility for that competition yellow. And race control, from our vantage point, did the right thing, kind of letting it work its way out there, because when the green flag started, pit stop started, it would have really trapped a lot of guys a lap down and maybe changed the complexion of this race. And you guys were close on fuel at that point and able to get there, but how did you save the set of tires, and was that kind of like a Hail Mary type thought process between you and the top of the war wagon? We have an extra set of tires in here, let's come in, put right sides on there with about 30 laps to go and just see what happens?
Yeah, we were hoping for a caution there. I think we hit on like 200 or whatever it was, or 220. And then I said, I am pitting next yellow anytime after lap 250. And I knew I was one set ahead of everyone, because when I took my first set, people had to think about whether or not they wanted to take their second set or stay on their old stuff. And all the big dogs, I think, took their second set because we did that run. And I knew I had that sitting in the pits, so I was either gonna drop back, fade, and finish where I finished under green, or I was gonna be where I was and take my set of tires and pass everyone. I knew it was gonna be a gamble, but love gambling.
Definitely paid off here tonight, and you're going to walk out of the Five Flag Speedway a little bit richer, as well as the Snowball Derby comes with a cash payout, and we're glad to see you come out here and race with the American Sim Racing Club. And what a great event. I mean, we saw a lot of green flag racing. We did see a slew of accidents there, and how much damage we saw. Maybe you were down a little bit on power after the front end contact, but the crew going to work, getting it done, and you're going to come out here with the win.
Yeah, seriously, ice cream for all the boys tonight. I had a minute 30 of damage, and I didn't even see the damage, but I could feel it because the car was extra tight, and then everyone around me was telling me they could see my engine and see in my car, but I couldn't see it in the cockpit, therefore I didn't have any damage. But when I pitted, they told me I got a minute 30, and I was doing good. I fixed it all up. I had like 7 seconds left, and full RPMs. The gauges were all cool, no overheating. So it was between me and the racetrack there.
Well, congratulations on picking up the Snowball Derby win here this afternoon, and it's always a pleasure watching you race out there, and you do it in such class and clean racing as well, and you got a lot of that back at you from your competitors here this afternoon as well. But we know you got some people on this race car that make it all possible, for whether they're on the race car behind the scenes, who you got to thank.
Absolutely. I'll start with the people in this session, because this was actually a really good race. We had a lot of green flag runs that you would not see. We had a lot of respectful racing, maybe a couple incidents that shouldn't have happened, but all in all, everyone was respectful. The incidents were low. Everyone claimed a caution. It was a good race. So shout out to just everyone in the race that made it happen. It was fun. There were some really fast guys tonight, like Alex Coffey, Richie Murray, Andrew Payne, Braxton DeWeese. There were some hitters in here tonight. Luck didn't go for everyone tonight, but just shout out to everyone in here. Tanner Tallarico putting everything on behind the scenes. You opened the booth. Al Smith following the show. I love going back and watching them. The family watching it. My grandparents, my mom watching it. Shout out all the boys at RKM Setup Shop, Bernier's Liquors, and just Tanner for putting on this whole thing, dealing with all the nonsense behind the scenes. And I just can't wait to be back next year. This is an awesome race.
Well, congratulations. You're going to go down as the 2024 Snowball Derby champion for the American Sim Racing Club. And congratulate that one. Let it sink in. We hope to see you on the track here on the Turn 3 Racing Network in the coming months and over the time. Good luck to all your racing endeavors, Thomas, and congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you later on when we do some Western Super Series racing. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. That's Thomas Axum. They're going to pick up the win, Kelly, and, well, that's all. Everything but is done except for taking a look where everyone kind of cycled out here at the end of this race as we watch Thomas Axum burn it down as we take a look at the results presented by Sunoco for the Snowball Derby. And it was Thomas Axum picking up the win, Braxton DeWeese second, third Zach Coyer, Andrew Payne is fourth, and Alex Coffey rounding out your top five.
Yeah, moving on now to the rest of the top 10 here. Richie Murray was able to come home in 6th. Brett Hahn, after being down a couple laps early on, was able to come back up 7th. David Patton comes in 8th. Jacob Daniels ends up being our last car on the lead lap in 9th, and then Noah Boucher rounds out the top 10.
11th will go to Stephen Hoffman. Hayden Swank is 12th after setting fast time. Just did not pan out for the driver of the 35. But hey, came in, was a fast driver, set the quick time last night, and had the pole. And that's a prestigious award here for the Snowball Derby. He will come home 12th. Cody Green 13th. Eric Hahn 14th. And Chuck Darling rounding out the top 15.
Rest of these drivers finding a lot of trouble throughout the race. Scott Negus coming home in 16th, 23 laps down. Tim Rogers was flying on the racetrack, but not in the way you wanted to. He got airborne in an early wreck. He'll come home 17th. Todd Cousins, a fast driver early on, but again caught in a big wreck, and he comes home in 18th. Lewis Flowers coming home in 19th. Mark Welch having to park it just past the halfway point. He will finish 20th.
And that'll do it here from the Snowball Derby. Closing remarks, Kelly, from you, and then we'll let you head on back up home to your land of Canada.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that you came and invited me to commentate on this with you, because it ended up being a very exciting race. I mean, I called early on that I thought Andrew Payne was going to win this thing, as he was showing a ton of pace, but Thomas Axum, really smart strategy call, and it just kind of shows what you can see over these long short track races. You see a lot of drivers that have speed early on that then drop off, drivers that just play it smart and run a good strategy with their tires and set themselves up for a good race win. But congratulations once again to Thomas Axum, a fantastic strategy call to secure this race.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Kelly, for accepting that invite and coming down and having a little fun with us on a Sunday afternoon. Safe travels home, and well, thank you for tuning on into the Turn 3 Racing Network for the American Sim Racing's Snowball Derby, which was all presented by Hometown Sunoco of Cutlerville, LaPlante Racing Graphics, and QuickTime Media, Motorsports Media. I butcher that every time, Kelly. Yeah, I'll get it right one of these years. But we thank them all for doing everything that they do for us, and we can't thank Tanner Tallarico and the guys at the American Sim Racing Club for all that they did. But it was Thomas Axum going to end up the big winner here at the Snowball Derby, and we will see you a little bit later on here on the Turn 3 Racing Network, as I got a little more action to take care of this afternoon as we have to go from Pensacola. Got the jet already fueled up. We're headed to Nashville for our next broadcast. But until then, we'll see you in turn number 3. Thank you all for tuning on in to the Snowball Derby.